Oh, and now it's time for the scene. The single worst scene in all of Star Wars. It's Ascension time on Lesbian Witch Mountain, where Mama Yass and the Coven perform a whole-ass musical number.
Sisters, sing.
I'm not kidding. They start off with a rave, and then writhe around singing and throwing their hands about.
Power of one, power of two, the power of many.
I put a spell on you, and now you're gone.
Also, big props to this lady for going above and beyond. Employee of the month right there.
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
Meow, that's right.
It is Wednesday night in Tinseltown, and I assume most other places in the world right now, depending on your time zone. And that can mean it is only time for one thing, folks. It is time for Tooney TV, Tooney Talk TV, simulcast on both Tooney TV and Tooney Wrestling. We welcome you all here, folks. I'm Marvin, and I'm the Movie Monster, and I'm your host of this show. Joining me, as always, an all-star panel. First, I would like to bring up one of my very good friends. If you watch Tooney Talk Wrestling, you know him very well. He's feeling a little different than the way you normally see him tonight. You never know what you're going to get with this guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only AEW Disciplinary Committee, aka Dis, from Maxed Out Media on YouTube. Hello, Dis, my friend. You're looking vintage today, very retro.
I couldn't do the Star Wars, the Alien anymore. This made me happy, so I picked it.
You decided to go with public domain characters.
Exactly. It's better than the other thing that I was doing before the show.
Which was what? Watching The Acolyte?
Watching The Acolyte. After watching that, I needed something to cheer me up, and I saw this, and I was like, yep, that's going to be it. I'm going to use...
Oh, dear Lord.
So,
and of course, folks, joining us this week from That Park Place and from his own wonderful YouTube channel, our friend, the one of the masters of lost media, the one and only Game Meister himself, Mr. Nolan Thunder.
How is everybody doing?
We are good, Nolan. How are you? How are the cats doing today?
Oh, very good, very good. They're getting all the love, all the attention, being spoiled rotten, but you know, it's great. We're having a lot of fun with it, and she literally just ran right up in here after you asked that, so I think she heard you.
Folks, I am also extremely proud and thankful for our next panelist today. If you watch the WW Pro Network or That Park Place, you know him very well. Folks, he is our good friend from the great beyond of Hollywood, the one and only Lou Wasserman's ghost.
Well, thank you for having me, and better the great beyond than the great Beyonce, I say. So anyway.
Not a fan of the Queen Bee, are you, Lou?
I don't know. I
don't think you're the demographic that she speaks to. I'm just saying.
It's not that. It's just sort of these things that are supposedly new and exciting. I saw them in the 30s, but
and of
or
course,
at least in their 30s, which have since passed. So how that makes them contemporary, I don't know. I think a lot of people hang on a little beyond their sell-by date, But
That's very true. That's very true. And just joining us from Follow the Bradleys Fun, recently crossing that 10,000 subscriber threshold, the one and only Ron Bradley.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
hey,
Yes, we can hear you fine, Ron. Welcome to the show.
That is good because I'm using a different device tonight, and I just
You
wanted to
sound
make sure
different than
that,
you normally do.
Yeah, so
I was just going to chalk it up to the expiration of your vocal cords from
that is a
waiting
very
for
good
boarding groups
possibility.
that never open to open.
Yeah, that would not be a surprise.
What if they gave an
but-
attraction and nobody could come or even breathe hard?
Oh my gosh!
All right. So obviously the first thing on everybody's mind when it comes to the world of TV and movies over the last couple of weeks has unfortunately been one thing and one thing only. And that is The Acolyte. Starring Amanda Stenleberg or whatever the heck her name is, and all of the wonderful cast of characters, but really starring Leslie Headland, because she is probably the number one build cast member on this. I think I saw that on Rotten Tomatoes. So episode 4 of this show has hit, and how many of us here in this chat right now have actually watched it? This, I know I made you watch it.
I have not because
Ron
I have a very weak stomach, and I probably would throw up all over the place.
Lou, I assume you're not subjecting yourself to that, right?
I am happily incapable. When it comes to Disney Plus, I'm not going to pay for that stuff, and therefore it's kind of like a dissectomy as far as being physically no longer capable of being exposed to that.
You cut the D cord is what you've done.
That's it.
Yeah. Nolan,
The lost cord.
I don't believe you've seen it either, Nolan, right?
No. My therapist told me that life is a very good thing and that you should avoid Leslie Headland at every single possibility.
This is so mad right now. I can tell because I made him watch this. But you know what? Joining us right now is another man who I know probably watched it because he is the regular co-host of this show, back by popular demand and black by popular demand. The one and only Kevin Apollo.
What's going on, everybody?
Yes.
Hey, my friend, how are you doing? Kevin Apollo, I assume I've subjected you to the horrors of Leslie Headland once again this week.
Oh yeah, my favorite thick-necked lady. I can say
Apollo, first of all, nice to meet you. And secondly, I always describe her, she always reminds me of the Rock'em Sock'em robot toy.
Yes.
That square blockhead, that used to get knocked off in all the commercials. Well,
I think I said it's I'm just glad that she was able to show up to work and instead of her and her twin sibling attempting to harass Gumby and friends.
Hey, wait a minute. Everybody's talking about, apparently in this most recent episode, there's something where the bad sister suddenly decides, I don't want to be bad anymore. Forget the whole thing. I'm going to be something else. Maybe she's setting up her own alibi if she gets called in to witness to the next Harvey trial.
That's exactly what happened to her. All of a sudden, I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't want to do this anymore. So that gives me a free get out of jail pass, right?
Oh, Lou, I think you just blew the airlock off this thing. I think
the
that is
unindicted
exactly
co-conspirator clause in her contract.
Oh man! So this is a lot like what we talked about last night with dueling personalities. She's inserted herself in the story, but she split herself into two. And
what got me, maybe you guys can explain this, because again, I haven't followed all of the twists and turns since I was there, literally for real, not like everybody says they were, but I really was. Opening day at the Chinese theater, the real one for the original Star Wars. But what is this Ki-Adi-Mundi? Isn't that an animal?
Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Well, I seem to remember
he's a code
Kangaroo. Captain Kangaroo would always have the Ki-Adi-Mundi as sort of the guest animal in the little nature spot on the show. And then I thought, no, wait a minute. Mundi, that's Fred Astaire and Robert Wagner on Takes a Thief, right? Alexander Mundi and Alistair Mundi. And anyway, I just
Ki-Adi-Mundi's he's the Conehead one, right?
Yeah,
He is.
they found the most ignorant, bumbling Jedi they could possibly find and inserted him into the show.
The only death in all of the Order 66, right? This just poignant, moving, horrible moment in Star Wars where you're just like, oh, your heart is bleeding for these Jedi as they get slaughtered. But even in the theater that night, I laughed at Ki-Adi-Mundi's death when he's like,
wait, what?
Come on! And he's like waving his lightsaber over his head, and the clone troopers are just like, hey, hold back a second.
Yeah, if Kevin James was a Jedi, he'd be.
Well, it's like Ki-Adi-Mundi, la 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 la, can't trust that drone or whatever they are. Ki-Adi-Mundi said, if you want me, I'll answer the phone because I haven't worked since. But,
I did watch a YouTube video of the Donnie and Marie Star Wars spoof special, and that I have to say is probably way more entertaining than The Acolyte.
This week, I assure you, this was.
Wait, you mean I'm a little bit Sith, I'm a little bit Jedi role? I don't know.
It was pretty much that. They had Chewbacca and Chris Christopherson was playing Han Solo. It was great.
This what were you just saying?
It not only was it terrible, but it was boring. It was just so boring. They took the worst part of Lord of the Rings and made an episode out of it. It was so boring. And then the second something happens, it's over. It's like, let it happen. Let's end the show now. And
Kevin Apollo, you seem to have something here. What do you got?
I was going to say, this was probably the best episode so far, but nothing happened.
Wait. That's why it was the best. It was the shortest, right?
Yeah, it was the shortest.
Oh, man.
We went for a walk. We introduced pronouns, and then Smiley O'Ren showed up, and then it was over.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Smiley O'Ren and the little Jedi, like Darby O'Gill.
Can anyone explain to me why in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago, they would have needed pronouns? Back then, they probably knew what.
A lot of people are saying that pronouns have not been introduced in Star Wars before this. That is not true. If you watch Tales of the Empire, we had pronouns in that because we had when the evil Inquisitors were hunting down that Jedi on top of that mountain, they were like, "Get them! They're getting away." So I'm like, wow, you know what? The Inquisitors, sure, they're dark side adepts, they're murderers, they're assassins, but at least they're not misgendering. They're not total.
If
monsters,
I don't know about them either because I'm blissfully ignorant of this, but if they are Inquisitors, pronouns are important so they know which tool of Inquisition they're planning on using.
I suppose that is true. Maybe that is why. We have another panelist joining us right now, also from the That Park Place family, the one and only Mr. Martin Stone. Welcome, Martin.
Welcome, Martin.
Martin,
Hey,
did you happen to catch The Acolyte this week?
I watched something that was supposed
If
to
you
be Star
caught it,
Wars,
you need penicillin, and it's got to be quick.
but nothing happened.
Nothing.
Yeah, no. Gloriously nothing happened.
I mean, there was maybe a change of heart or maybe an opportunistic attempt to flee, but
it was. We'll get to it. I want to get through a few super chats before we get into the meat and potatoes of this because they're all about The Acolyte. John JID 999 checking in with $10. Thank you so much. He said, "Wow, this was bad. Killing Chewbacca at the end killed my interest. The Penis Man and the Kevin Dunn tracker. What even is that?" Mary Kate and Oshley can't act. Squid Game Man is carrying the show. He is. Lee Jung Jae, bless his heart, because he's trying so hard to shine shit with this.
I think Asian Ezra Miller, as you call him, I think he's doing a pretty good job too. I mean, he's not getting much
all
to
right.
work with, but compared to everyone else on the show,
I understand he doesn't speak English and he's learning this all phonetically. With this level of script writing, that might be a really positive enhancement to your performance.
I mean, it is the script writing equivalent of C-Spot Run, isn't it? Like,
I mean, haven't we gone from pronouns to syllables? If he's learning it line by line.
There are certainly words in here, right? JPS checking in at $2. Thank you so much. This Disney Plus should be thrown out the airlock. Jack Glancy for $5, I believe. Is that is that pounds? 5 pounds? 5 British pounds?
Looks like it.
AEW has better storylines than this, and they don't have any. That again, that's true. John JID 999 for $2. The Young Bucks EVP story has more layers than this. Wow, we're getting like deep on the wrestling references now. But yes, it is true. Better storytelling. And Jack Glancy once more for £5 says Ki-Adi-Mundi is but what about the droid attack on the Wookiees guy, right? Yes, he is. That is who you're thinking of. Now look, Ki-Adi-Mundi has one major line. Well, he has two major lines in The Phantom Menace. The first one is, "Your thoughts dwell on your mother." And the other one was, the Sith have been extinct for a millennia. Now, she picked the one Jedi whose one line was that the Sith did not exist for 1,000 years and made him aware of dark Jedi traipsing about the galaxy. Also, there's the fact that Ki-Adi-Mundi, this is 40 years before he's supposed to be born. And no, I'm sorry, shills that are trying to defend this. There were trading cards. There were things officially released by Lucasfilm during the prequel trilogy that had his age as 70 at the time of his death.
But
this takes place. Yes.
They dyed his hair. His hair's darker. So he's much
yes. Now, I have a question for you guys. What are the odds that Leslie Headland was like, I need a Jedi to show how toxic men destroy everything. So, can I have the guy whose head is literally a giant dick?
No, I think it's more complex and psychological. And let me explain.
Please
this whole thing about your mother and your father and everything, wouldn't that technically be Oedipus? Well, that's something Leslie Headland's been doing her whole life, apparently.
Oh, God. Oh, good Lord.
Walking the line as usual, but it's a fun line to walk.
It is that you walk it like no other, my friend. But Ki-Adi-Mundi placed it. The only thing, his other big line from episode 3 is, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? Which, like, at this point, just have somebody be like, hey, the Wookiee Jedi died, and have him be like, fuck the Wookiees. Just to like further just like blow off everything he did in the original in the prequel trilogy. Kevin Apollo, were you like me when you saw Ki-Adi-Mundi? You were like, oh, that must just be another Syrian Jedi. But then you learned, no, that's actually supposed to be Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Yeah, I listen. We kind of touched on this last week. So Star Wars, very similar to Star Trek. You are very hard pressed to argue with people about canon because you have two franchises that painfully mapped out their canon. Every guide that came out was official. Every trading card that came out was official. Yep. There was a deep dive in every ounce of minutia available. And yes, there are hordes of people out there who didn't just read it; they committed it to memory. So when you turn around and you do something stupid like this, you have to ask, like, was this on purpose? Because I find it hard to believe that entire studio has become so incompetent that this was allowed to happen. I know they love to antagonize the fans. It's like it's their calling in life. Instead of putting out quality content, we have to antagonize people who give us money. But this is a very bizarre mistake when we are supposed to be pretending to be professionals.
Oh, I know. And now so Ki-Adi-Mundi is now the one going, hey, let's not tell the Jedi Council about things. Let's hide things. Martin, What did you think when one of the eventual members of the Jedi High Council starts saying, let's not tell the Jedi Council things. Let's hide things from the Jedi Council.
I just assumed that he was not Ki-Adi-Mundi. I thought it was somebody else.
Right. We all did.
You telling me that's new to me. But I guess in addition to their ability to see the dark side of the Force diminishing, their common sense diminished as well.
I'm trying to find, there was an article, I believe. It shows, we talked about it. I was on with Vash and Jonas from that Park Place earlier, and we were talking about the Wikipedia war that was waged last night with people trying to change Ki-Adi-Mundi's age in his official like Wikipedia entry to make this fit in with the Acolyte. And I was shocked at just like you look at like the edits on it, and it's just like non-stop edits about how old he is, what his life was like when he was born, not so much when he died, because we all saw that hilarious moment. But this is an attempt, I think, by Leslie Headland to destroy the Jedi. Like I'm gonna steal a line from Mace Windu. I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi, because that's what this is. This is a plot to destroy the Jedi, because by saying the Jedi were always bad, by saying the Jedi were never good, the way they said in The Last Jedi, and now in our next movie, when our stunning, brave, how did the Critical Drinker put it, non-diverse female space Jesus rebuilds the Jedi. Now the Jedi are good. Now the Jedi are perfect. Now the Jedi are the heroes they were always supposed to be because of Rey.
I went back while watching the show, I went back to thinking about something that in the first episode I did of Tooney Talk TV, where we went through the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte, and I mentioned to Nolan that to me this felt like anti-Jedi propaganda put out by the Sith. Mm-hmm. And it still does. And
it's a cartoon that Palpatine had made and put out, like the start of the Empire.
Because that's what propaganda does. Propaganda will take people, and put them in places they weren't and do that kind of thing. And they've done that now. They've actually distorted facts. Now they've gone that far, which propaganda does. It's almost like maybe I'm just convincing myself that at some point Disney's going to say this is the Sith propaganda era of Star Wars. Everything you saw isn't canon. That is Sith propaganda. We were so clever that we turned it into a show.
Marvin, thank you for that image, though. Now I'm picturing the Emperor at like an old Blockbuster or something. He's like, "Hey, kids, want this cartoon?"
Yeah.
There's a dark side of me that wants to see Empire propaganda movies, like for instance, the destruction of the Death Star, how they spin that.
Oh,
can it look like one of those? Not to get us demonetized, but can it look like one of those old like YouTube conspiracy videos with like Club to Death playing in the background for the Matrix or something like that?
Oh no! See, what I'm imagining is like a 1940s anti-Nazi propaganda film, made by the Empire, about some people called it the Death Star, but Project Stardust. Yeah, that kind of
yes. Oh my God. Oh, that would be amazing. Somebody's got to make that.
Yeah, somebody's got to make it. A 3 million view video right here.
You know who made a lot of stuff like that, and it was hilarious? For the Terminator 3D ride at Universal in Hollywood, they had all these posters from Cyberdyne showing all the wonderful things they're doing for humanity, and in the queue area, and people were just falling down laughing who knew the story,
Oh, that's so funny. I love that.
This reminded me of when I was like 14 or 15 years old. One time, my family was staying in a hotel, and a guy came up to me and he gave me all these little comic books. And he's like, "You should read these." And they were all about like the Pope and how he's the devil, and they were chick tracts. I don't know if anybody knows. Yeah, you know, I think they're chick tracts. I think that's what they're called. They were Tom Chick or something like that. Oh yeah, it's all like super anti-Catholic propaganda. And I remember going through that, and this is what I felt like watching this show is what I felt like when I got those. Like someone handed me a little comic book, and it's it's Luke Skywalker, and he's the devil, and he's going to that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's so funny.
It doesn't even seem real anymore. I mean, not real in the sense of obviously it's Star Wars, but real even in the world of Star Wars, it doesn't seem real to me.
Matthew James, speaking right to my heart right now for $5. Thank you so much. Says this should be easy. Darth Bane novel and Darth Plagueis novels should just be canon. Make lore fit those. Darth Bane trilogy is greatest of all time for Sith fans. That's true. Darth Bane, Path of Destruction, Rule of Two, and I don't remember the name of the last one, but it's very good. Those three are incredible, and it establishes the Rule of Two. Bane and how Bane destroys the Sith. The Sith were as plentiful as the Jedi, and they learned that, large groups of Sith would team up to take down more powerful masters. And Bane realizes that weakens the Sith as a whole. and that the only way that they could actually fight the Jedi is if there's just two of them. One master, one apprentice. One who embodies the power and the other who craves it. And when the apprentice is stronger than the master, they kill their master and they become the master and take an apprentice. And that's how the Sith survive for 1,000 years, because it ensures that when the master becomes old and weak and the apprentice is stronger, that now the apprentice is the one that rules. It ensures that the stronger Sith is always the one in power. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant story. And the Plagueis novel is tremendous. I don't love the way it kind of fits into episode 1, because Plagueis is like still kicking around in episode 1, and it kind of makes it so that Darth Maul was never really a Sith, which I don't like. But the novel itself is very good. I fear for what because I think we're going to see Darth Plagueis, and I think when we do, he's going to look a little like this.
Yes.
Because
that little summary you gave was a better sell on me wanting to read that book than anything Disney has put out in the past like decade.
Yes, Nolan, that's because I know how to write. I'm like Leslie Headland.
But obviously not how to get paid millions by Disney for doing so.
No.
There's the one flaw in your plan.
So, Martin, what were you saying?
I was going to ask, do you think that the term acolyte now, is that Leslie Headland's way of saying when the apprentice kills the master, they've got an acolyte ready to become the apprentice, or that's it. They've got an acolyte ready to be the apprentice when they kill the master. Like, is she trying to establish a hierarchy?
That could be a thing. I mean, and some of them did that. Some of them would start training an apprentice in secret. I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I was just going to say, I listened to that explanation of that continuing chain of acolyteness, which sounds like a eucalyptus, which is probably the acolyte throat drops. But the problem with it from a plot point of view is, if you're the guy that got moved up to the next notch, you know what happens next. Why would you do that? You know you're riding for a fall.
Yeah, it's not a great retirement plan.
Well, it's because supposedly every Dark Lord of the Sith in the Bane-Knight line was fanatical about the Sith, not just about the exaltation of the self, but about the cause of the Sith. So if you have trained your apprentice correctly, then your apprentice puts the needs of the Sith and the grand plan above themselves. Which, you know,
above the few or the one. Where have I heard that before?
Exactly. Sloanamite says, was the word Sith even used in the original trilogy? And then our very own Ron Bradley here says that in a deleted scene it was used in A New Hope. Also, the first time I ever heard the word Sith was Shadows of the Empire. Kevin Apollo, you remember that, right?
Yeah, that was yes. If you with the original releases pre-special edition, you only knew what the Sith were from like the Dark Horse comic books, and then when Shadows of the Empire came out, which was an awesome time, you had a soundtrack which was super cool, the toys, like the
video game.
Yep, the video game. They treated it like it was a major movie release. Which is why I was devastated when they decanonized it, even though the Outrider is in A New Hope. Wait,
it's not canon anymore?
No, they decanonized it.
It's part of Legends.
Yeah, they threw it in the Legends pile to the point that I think Christian Harloff was asked about it so many times that he started blocking people on Twitter if they asked him if Shadows of the Empire was still canon.
It's such a good. I'm shocked that Filoni hasn't tried to appropriate Shizor yet.
I can't remember what they're called. We get them in the Clone Wars, but even then, I have zero faith in Dave Filoni. I think he is here to cash out. He does what his mistress tells him to do, and if Kathy says find an excuse to make sure that this turns into a steaming pile of dung, he goes yes'm and steers the ship. It steers the ship and makes sure it's on a collision course to ruin.
Did you see the ex Lucasfilm employee who talked about that? You didn't see that video?
Oh no, I heard about it.
Yeah, okay.
Fantastic.
Because he talks about Filoni and he's like, he was never the savior.
Yeah, I hold on. I actually have an article from our friends over at That Park Place specifically about this. Former Lucasfilm animation employee. There we go. It says he's embarrassed and ashamed to have worked at Lucasfilm and on Star Wars after The Acolyte. So former Lucasfilm employee recently shared that he is embarrassed to have worked on Star Wars in the wake of The Acolyte. He says, I was there when that happened and watched 90% of my coworkers get laid off. He's talking about the acquisition by Disney. I was lucky enough to survive that layoff. I use the word lucky loosely, but I was there during the transition. I'll admit early on, there was some hope. There was hope because they sat down, Kathleen Kennedy in a presentation of the company. They showed us something we had never seen before at George, and that was a 10-year plan. I actually felt really good about that. They said they're going to be they're going to be 3 more movies. We're all really excited. He then shared, I left some years after that. I've been gone for about 7 years now, and I talked about this in another video. When the third set of trilogies came out, The Force Awakens and the whole thing with Rey, I tried to block a lot of it out. Actually, I don't remember the names of all those episodes that came out under Kathleen Kennedy, but I remember going to the crew screenings and coming out not really feeling it, right? And then having the audacity and the nerve at work to say, yeah, I didn't really like it, and then starting to find out who the real fanboys are. And I'll tell you what, some of the biggest fanboys you'll find, the most toxic work there because you weren't allowed to not like it. If you had an opinion, best to keep it to yourself. People would make you very, very uncomfortable. I really was not happy with the culture of the life there. It had changed a lot. Then he says, I remember a personal experience being in the studio and being like, I don't know if I really like the character Rey, and my coworkers just losing their ever-loving shit at me, really getting pissed off because I didn't like it. So it's exactly what we've always said it was. We've always said that this was the situation there, right?
Ooh, did Kathleen Kennedy kill one of us? Did it finally happen?
Someone check on Ron. Martin, are you still alive?
Call for help.
But yeah, so I mean, and look, under Lucas, I think I've heard that a lot of the people at Lucasfilm, it was always kind of like fly by the seat of your pants, because George would just come in one day and he would Vince McMahon and go, I've got the greatest idea. We're going to do a cartoon series. Let's make it happen tomorrow. And
but guys, this is not a phenomenon specific to creative endeavors or commercial creative endeavors. When somebody reaches a level, perhaps because they got one lucky strike and made it work, where they are treated like the God King of the universe, they don't particularly have to think it all out in advance. It's, well, gee, they say I'm a genius, so I guess whatever I think of when I wake up this morning in bed, it must be genius. And nobody will say otherwise for fear of offending God, So it always amazes me in entertainment in general how certain people become superstars and don't get totally warped and out of their minds. I mean, case in point, to me, the Beatles. If you have ever actually understood what that town was like in that era that they were growing up, where at 4 a.m. the whistle blows and all those guys in the same black suit with the same back lunch step out into the street like the zombie clones of someplace, and go through utter poverty and utter darkness and utter nothing. And suddenly these guys come out of that and they basically tell the world, you know what? We're tired of mourning World War II. We're tired of still having, as England did, rationing 15 years after the war is over, for God's sakes. I went to England the first time in my life when I was in 65, 6, 7, around then. And there were still bombed out buildings right in the middle of London, for God's sakes. And it's like, you didn't clean this mess up yet? What's wrong with you, So to come out of that and suddenly be given the keys to the universe and not go nuts and not become an egotistical, crazy person and not be utterly oblivious to anybody's opinion but your own, that's a mark of amazing character. So, okay, George is eccentric and whatever. I mean, I got news for you. He's eccentric and talented and got lucky. Being eccentric was no big deal. I was at USC Film School in those days. I don't know if you know this, but USC was also the official training school for the Navy's film program. And the reason why George was able to make the original THX student film and have it look so good, he recruited all the Navy guys to his crew. So all those control rooms, they were ships down in Long Beach Harbor of the U.S. Navy, for God's sake.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and if you look at it in the original, everybody's wearing this plain bleached white jumpsuit. And if you look real close, you'll see the little flap behind the head. It's a sailor suit. It's the guy on the Cracker Jack box, only in bleached white, because he could get it for nothing.
That's amazing. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Innovation.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't begrudge people who go a little nuts for that reason. The fact that other people who should know better say, oh, sure, here, take my money. And that investors at this later date should say, oh, yeah, well, okay, you made 43 pieces of junk in a row and you lost $1 billion, but hey, what the heck? Take another shot. Here.
Isn't that the beauty of modern entertainment? Like, and you take someone like Lucas, there's no doubting his creative prowess, right? His brain is probably on fire with 1,000 different concepts. So sure, he's going to fly by the seat of his pants. He's going to wake up one day where we're going to make a movie about teddy bears who fight giants on beanstalks and can talk to ghosts. And then he walks out of the room 5 minutes. No, I don't like that. It's going to be juggling dogs. And then he's gone.
But you're absolutely right. And the people putting up the money, he's smart enough to know they won't buy it if he doesn't give them a good reason, which is, hey, it worked for all those John Wayne movies. Hey, it worked for all of those World War II aircraft carrier movies. I'm just doing that with a fancier costume. That's all. And at that point, they can accept it, whether they really believe it or not. And why is that? Lou's rule of executive decision-making in Hollywood. The most important factor is not will it make money, not will it be good, not will it be creatively fulfilling. It's if it flops, do I have a good excuse and get to keep this great job? That's how these things are decided, is what's my excuse.
And then the 10-year Disney plan. Disney is phenomenal at giving you a 10-year roadmap. And we've seen over the last 15 years, it hardly ever works out. And the further away from the initial success, the worse the final result ends up being. Case in point, look at Marvel today. How many whole H panels have we sat through where we've seen this is the next 15 years of Marvel. This is the next 15 years of Star Wars.
Right.
15 years of Avatar. And look at
this is the next 8 years of Epcot, where we're going to take this beautiful fountain and ruin it. And we're going to put up go-away green walls that never go away. And at the end of it, look at this beautiful picture of this 3-tiered rebar and jungle tower that's going to be great for like $50 dessert parties during the fireworks. And instead you get what? A convention center in Fullerton, California? I mean, it's like, God.
Disney's also great at having the 10-year excuse. It's just the same one. They're bigots or they're racists and stuff. 10-year plan, baby.
None of that stuff is for the fans. All that stuff, all those announcements and things, those are for the investors.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
They're also
Guys,
they're for the fans to rally to the cause, so the investors don't dare ask the hard questions.
Guys, we try. This is a fantastic panel tonight, and I'm moderating the chat while we're going. We try to avoid having trolls here, but there is a troll that wants to get in on the panel tonight, and I think it's only fair to let him in. Ladies and gentlemen, Wilton the troll is here. The Rock. Wilton. Wilton.
Menu tonight. Jonas a la King.
What? Jonas is here. That would suck.
Jonas is not here. Jonas is done. But
it's a good way to save your show. So, man.
We got Mickey Mouse though.
We do have a Mickey Mouse above you there.
Kind of weird. But I mean, it's
just don't say anything to startle him because he's over you.
Wilton, as a troll, I do have to ask you one question. How do you ever watch AEW, the Wrestling Federation, or is that too much even for you?
Oh no, I'm a male.
Okay. Very good. You just made Distant Apollo's night. Lou's asking what the heck AEW is, but
isn't that like a show where they like do dramatizations like Law and Order and stuff?
Oh yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you basically get it. Wilton, are you watching The Acolyte?
Are we talking about defending or watching?
Are you watching The Acolyte, not defending The Acolyte?
No, who's watching it?
Well, people that are content creators mostly, which I know you are one. So
I was forced to.
Well,
I'm gonna suggest that in purely the milk of human kindness and charitable whatever. We should cut everybody who watches it some slack. Why? Because if they're still subscribing to Disney Plus at this stage of the game, they have more problems than The Acolyte.
And Ron, welcome back. I know you were having some mic issues.
He doesn't care. So
he might still be having some mic issues. But yeah. Okay, yeah, you still having some mic issues there, Ron. So
there he muted. He knows.
By the way,
anyway, naked guy.
That would be Kevin Apollo. He's not naked. No.
Okay.
He's not naked. It is a tiny tank top. I don't.
I thought that was just a shadow. Okay.
No, don't be racist.
Ron, your Static City.
Yeah, Ron, your mic is
verblungent is a fancy technical term for it, by the way. It should change the name of the show. Tooney Town TV, guest starring Tiny Tank Top.
That is true. That is true.
We're actually switching. He's on the wrestling show too. We're actually moving over to Chatterbait next week on a wrestling show.
Yeah.
You play your cards right. I can get you a gig if I'm the agent and get a percentage being the new showrunner for X-Men 97.
Oh, well played, Lou. Well played. WW Pro checking in saying Lou is a genius. I love to just sit back and listen and learn.
Yeah. Now, Pro, did you decide? Are you going to buy that bridge in Brooklyn I was telling you about?
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, if you can buy a bridge in Brooklyn, get it.
Well, if he's going to listen and learn,
you should. A great deal on it, too.
I love bridges in Brooklyn.
Come on, buddy.
Like the Brooklyn Bridge?
We're not talking about your orthodontist.
That's not even real.
In Fletching Meadows, but
Kevin Apollo's got Boba Fett the dog with him tonight as well. Lou, I have a question. For you.
Well, how big is that? Like, what was that dog? Is that Clifford?
Yeah, that's Clifford the big.
What's his name?
Boba Fett.
Oh, Boba Fett. I was going to guess Cerberus from the size.
You're awesome, dude.
So originally, I didn't want them to get the dog. So they tried to bribe me by giving him a name. And I said Boba Fett because I never thought they would have accepted it. If I had it to do over again, I would have probably named him Phobos or Demos or something like that to better fit his 100
Oh, there you go.
But I every time
Jabba the dog.
Everybody loves Boba Fett the dog.
Well, obviously you call him Boba.
Yes.
Yeah, Lou, you said you were there at the Chinese Theater, the premiere of Star Wars.
You bet. First show, first day.
So was there hype surrounding it?
But remember, I was going to film school at the time.
Okay.
So I was in a different class of hype hearers, than the average person. But it wasn't just people from film school in that line. It was sold out, baby, because rumor had it. Remember, when you're in Hollywood, LA, or as I like to call my little hometown, Beverly Hills, you hear things, because somebody's cousin's brother's second uncle is in the biz, In fact, I always tell the story when my wife, who had nothing to do with any of this, we met in a plain vanilla chat room on CompuServe, okay, and talked to each other for 5 years before we ever got together in person. And she had nothing to do with or interest in the biz. But when she came out to LA, and we went to the movies for the first time, and the movie's over, the credits start to roll, and she gets up to leave, and nobody else in the entire theater is getting up to leave because in LA, everybody knows somebody, and they want to stick around and see if they made it into the credits.
Well, that's funny. Long before the days of post-credit scenes where nobody leaves.
Yeah. No, they weren't staying for a scene. They were staying to say, oh, that was Joe's second uncle that we met at the barbecue, I didn't know he was a key grip.
I took my son to see all three of the Lord of the Rings movies. They just played at AMC theaters, Fathom events, kind of things. One each night over the weekend.
Right.
And every time he asked me, "Is there an after credit scene?" And I'm like, "No, son. This is before the dark times."
Yeah, I took my son. So we have a drive-in close to us that does old movies. And I took my son to see Homeward Bound a few weeks ago, and he asked me if there was an after credit scene for Homeward Bound.
Now I'm picturing Nick Fury talking to Shadow or something like that and offering to spawn the Avengers.
I thought that was the part where they put Shadow down.
What if it got to the point where they decided, this was a good movie and it's being accepted by the fans in the previews, but I don't think it'll work again as a romantic comedy. But if we made them cops and made it a buddy cop movie in the sequel, and so in the after credits scene,
oh no,
they take the romantic couple and have them start blasting away. So it's
they did take the dogs to San Francisco in the second one. The second one was Homeward Bound, Lost in San Francisco. So
well,
what if the post credit scene was like I forget the name of Shadow's the boy that owns Shadow, but like what if it's like he started to take tap dancing lessons or something like that.
I showed you guys in our private sidebar here the only canon that matters to me, the only Shadow that matters to me features sexy gals in silver suits with purple wigs on a satellite on the moon. So
cannons. I thought you were talking about Apollo's arms.
I thought you were going to say Alec Baldwin.
No, those are pythons.
Oh, that too.
Those are Burmese pythons, Wilton. They're not cannons. Apollo's arms, he was saying.
But Shadow, Shadow's an important organization, and we owe them.
So, like Lou, as the movie's happening, like, are people reacting like verbally to things?
Oh yeah, sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Except there's something about LA audiences. They respond. You talk about reacting. There's a movie. I forget what it had like two titles, like a lot of these British Hammer movies that were made in the 70s, and it was Vincent Price as the sort of witchfinder general, and he's torturing people and doing nasty stuff for 90% of the movie, and at the end the town turns on him and chases him with torches and burns him down. I saw that at a midnight screening at the Wiltern, which is this huge old Art Deco palace on Wilshire Boulevard. And the audience, it was like a Sunday night. Everybody had a very heavy drinking weekend, and tomorrow was going to be work again. And they were really getting into that movie. And at the end, when they turned on him, yeah, give that mother a... Everybody screaming at the screen from the audience. And I'm not talking one or two drunks. I'm talking everybody. So when you ask what were they reacting, but...
fantastic.
Now they all do it alone in their basement with their big screen, and people think they're crazy. Then it was just part of the game.
So that's a good question. What is better? Is it better? Do we prefer the?
Hold on. Disc, can you hold that thought for 1 second, because I think we're about to lose Wilton. Wilton's got his own show he's got to go do.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh, your own show is more important than us, huh?
Wilton's gonna die.
Well, actually, here's the thing: we have a consistent 9 p.m. Eastern. We've been at that time slot for like the last 3 years, and then you got.
I've been there twice.
You have.
And if you guys ever have a chance to guest with those guys, if you ever wanted to feel like a semi-has-been comedian getting his last guest shot on the Muppet Show, that's the place to be. Because that's what it feels like when you're the one human amongst everybody else. So
wait, you're saying that you only feel like a has-been comedian?
No, I'm saying they occasionally.
No, that's exactly what you said. You said
you
at
might.
the last leg of your comedian career or whatever, and then you go on there because.
Well, that's because in the latter days they were not all exactly stars, as you will remember with the Muppets.
Yeah, when they first started.
Well, yeah.
Most of them were just friends. They were just friends of Jim Henson's agent. But Wilton, where can people go to if for some strange reason they want to see more of you? Where can they go to find that?
Well, you can drop off this in the next 10 minutes and go to Flora from Under a Rock.
Yay!
So, there you go.
I knew why you came in here.
Well,
that's because from here there's nowhere to go but up. Is that what you're trying to say? No.
Okay, it was either compete with you or compete with Lorena, and Lorena has never insulted me directly in front of.
You know that there's other nights you could compete with other people on.
Yeah, but then we're running into other situations. This has to happen.
He thought you were the easiest competition.
Look, Floral. Floral is a good friend of mine. I like him a lot, Wilton. However, I just wanted the opportunity to take something from you. That's really it. That was entirely my decision.
I'm gonna take your family.
I'm gonna see you. Jonas and I are gonna see you in Fortnite. How about that? How about cash me outside in Fortnite?
See, that doesn't intimidate me.
No, because we played Fortnite together, and you've seen the way I play. I'm shocked and awe.
Wilton, I've only known you briefly, really, in the grand scheme of things, but I don't think anything intimidates you, and that's part of your charm.
I actually emailed the manager from the Independent
I was gonna bring that up. I liked that one.
So thank you.
That was a good one. Yeah, folks, check out Wilton's channel. Go check him out. You can find him and a bunch of other wonderful characters over there, Floral from Under a Rock. Check him out. It's a great time. Like, share, subscribe. Tune in for Fortnite Fridays and all the other great streams that they do.
Give all of them our love, mine in particular, because I think they're a fantastic bunch.
Oh,
yes,
thanks.
they are.
And we're only 45
I said
people
hi,
from 2K,
and that
so.
I hope.
Yes, 45.
I said hi, and I hope the show goes great. And Wilton, you can screw off.
Yeah, please give my love to Punk Waddle, because
here's the thing. I think you know what, you guys all suck except for shirtless guy.
And tell Punk Waddle
you represent.
Hey, Wilton, tell Punk Waddle that he better start learning how to play pickleball, because Culture Casino is, at my suggestion, adding pickleball merch to his upcoming offerings. So I'm sure he'll have Punk Waddle ready. Yeah.
Guys, what are you, 45 away from 2,000 subscribers over there,
Sir.
Wilton?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, so everybody go subscribe to Wilton over at Floral from Under a Rock.
Do it.
I was going to until he said I sucked. I'm no.
He's staring you down. He's staring you up. He's not staring you down.
Because here's the thing: people that like have to go online using like an avatar that moves.
I know, it's like he's controlling something that's not really him. It's so lame, isn't it?
It's so weird. It's so weird.
But you should see him for real right now, because all those
grown man, right?
Sensors on his facial muscles to make it work. Man, that's not fun.
Could you imagine actually like you probably have like all these conversations with people. You go somewhere and you're like, yeah, no, I go online, except I don't actually show my face. I actually just use some avatar to do my bidding. So and then they probably give you like this really weird look.
You know what? You earned it back. I'm going to subscribe now. It's okay.
Thank you. All right. Love you guys.
All right, Wilton.
See you
later, Wilton.
Wilton the troll, everybody. And Ron, welcome back. We have your microphone issues.
Let me check. How are we? How are we sounding?
Very
now?
dull.
Beautiful.
You
sound lovely, my friend.
Voice in the main time. No, wait, that's not. No. You know what I was going to say earlier is having also worked for the Mouse, not Lucasfilm directly, but directly for the Mouse. It's the same there. They do not really want different opinions. So I have been in that huddle many a time, and not to speak your mind.
Well, they're buddies with those people who did the Cultural Revolution and what was it, the Thousand Flowers movement, where hey, everybody come forward and tell us what you think.
There's kind of the first day is they call it traditions, but I call it indoctrination day, and I've actually gone through that process 2.5 times, and it is. I don't know how it is now because so many of the rules have changed as far as the Disney look and stuff. But man, it is definitely a high level indoctrination day.
Sounds like it.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. You sit there for 8 hours and you
traditions, right? It's the traditions class.
It's traditions class, and you're like, you're no more you. So that's
the company is mother. The company is father.
Yes,
you must conform.
Yeah, we did this chant. If I remember, on the first day of traditions, there was like, I'm trying to remember. It was the power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
You brought it back.
Yes, that's what it was.
Speaking of Oscar for that bridge,
that was a beautiful bridge. Thank you very much. So here's one thing from this episode that kind of, and those of you that have seen it, Martin Apollo diss, tell me if you agree with me on this. Maybe the creepiest thing was the weird romance between Oshley and Jecki, as I like to call her, Padawan Chitara, especially considering that Padawan Chitara appears to be a small child.
Wait, go back up to the headline.
Yeah.
She did what with her what? She's crushing on her Osha?
Yeah, she's crushing on her Osha.
Is that Jedi language for what I think it is?
Hopefully not, because, well, look, I will say I've looked into it. The character is apparently 18 in the show, and the actress is 19. However, it's still weird.
What's the age of consent on tattooing?
I have no idea.
Didn't I call this out in the first stream?
You did, Martin, and your insight has been proven correct here. They're asking the actress who plays Jecki about this, and so of course, look, the way Decider words this is the Acolyte continuing its wonderfully queer agenda by introducing a possible romance between Jeki and Osha, a child and Osha. Let's put it that. She's still taking like the children's class at the temple with all, and she goes, "I'm so happy you asked that because this is my favorite question ever." The Acolyte star Daphne Geen gushed when Decider asked her this question last month. That was a interesting word to choose there. I think for Jeki it's very confusing because as Jedi, you're not allowed to have feelings for other people. Mm-hmm. Oh God! And I think she I think she kind of does. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I think she does. This is weird. It's gross. I don't like it. Good Lord! I mean,
no. So
I have to tell you, the answer to the question does not begin to bother me as much as the fact that they need to ask it, that they have to bring the subject up in the first place. Not, is it a good show? Are there characters you care about? Is it well written? Are the effects good? All the things that people used to ask about a movie like this. No, what they want to know, well, how gay is it really?
How gay is it?
On a scale of Osha to Eva to Temperate Chance.
Monochrome to rainbow.
Yeah.
They keep this up. They're going to have 19-year-old brother and sister twins fall in love with each other and not know it. Oh, wait.
Right. And they're going to make out in the middle of a snow planet.
I will say this on diversity for this show. They have gone and done something that nobody else in Hollywood is willing to do, which is include a ginger. That Jedi combat class is being taught by a redheaded dude that looks basically like the Chad meme.
He looked like Jedi Master Tormund Giantsbane showing up to try to hit on Captain Phasma, but he's about 100 years too early.
Because didn't
he look like Tormund Giantsbane from Game of Thrones?
I thought it was when I first watched it. I'm like, oh,
me too.
Oh, never mind.
I just thought of something that I need to ask you, Marvin, as and Apollo, as the residents in the fine art of physical combat. I'm remembering when wrestling started getting beyond what it had used to be of sideshows and fairs and became a national media entity to be reckoned with. And all of these guys, from Jesse Ventura to Rowdy Piper to certainly Hulk, the first jobs they got in showbiz beyond wrestling were always in action things as the muscle-bound fighting guy. So if that was all just happening now, would it only be the quasi-lesbian female wrestlers getting the big gigs because that's what they're selling?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, well,
and wouldn't that be? But think about this: if who was that? I was going to say that blonde, and they all are. But if one of the major female wrestlers got a job in a show like this where the character was gay, wouldn't that kill a lot of their appeal with male wrestling fans?
No.
No. The 13-year-old boys that probably spike it.
Yeah, probably so.
Well, especially if it's one of the female, ones that was being gay. Yeah,
there was a wrestler.
There was a thing in. Remember, there was a thing in wrestling not too long ago called hot lesbian action. So
no, they're doing it now.
Years ago.
Well, but see, as long as it's only a few, you can, this week I'm going to buy a different magazine at the porn store. You know what I mean? It's a choice as opposed to 24/7, 365.
Is there
and the characters all have names like Sue Suplex, or whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying the point is it's a different level. It's a different thing than even sex in general in movies or in entertainment. Specifically homosexuality or specifically kink, disciplinary committee. Those are the ones outside of the pale, if you will, and they always will be.
I never put that together before.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh yeah, that was an incident.
You're the one that needs the pickleball paddle merch for sale.
First off,
just drill some holes in it though, because you got to get the aerodynamics going.
You never thought of it before, and you know that, huh?
Well,
there is currently lesbian stuff going on in wrestling. Just no one sees it.
I'm sure.
AEW.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Secondly, there was a female wrestler in a Star Wars show not too long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, well, sure.
Mercedes Monet was in Mandalorian.
Yes,
But
she was.
going a little bit back to the kid. Okay, now I want to get something clear, Marv, because I kind of saw it implied that the actual actress has a crush on her too. Is that something that they said?
I don't know. She's 19 years old. I have no idea.
I know.
Wouldn't that be something they would want to put as a fantasy in the minds of that audience?
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And on top of that, this is actually going back to my point that I made a few weeks ago about how this is the least diverse Star Wars show. It's because not only are they all basically humans except for the cute little creature and the dumb penis head guy, and the
and Chitara.
And also the Chewbacca, the fake Chewbacca that died at the end.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
And Chewie.
Yeah. But which by the way, he wasn't just a Wookiee. They made him look exactly like Chewbacca. But we'll get to that later.
Well, they had the costume around.
Yeah.
We don't want to make a new one.
So not only have they made everyone mostly human, but there's not one straight love story in this. There's not one. There was a coven of lesbian witches, and now the only other any kind of love story going on is also between two women. So they've taken away any.
So there's no diversity.
There's no diversity.
Yeah. Well, again, we know the play. It's diversity through exclusion. It's diverse because we said it, because this is how we see diversity, as opposed to actually giving you the entire spectrum. But here's my biggest issue is, at what point in time did we stop allowing human beings to have meaningful non-sexual relationships?
Yeah.
Like, why can't people just be friends? Why can't we have a conversation? Everything has to be sexualized. The other part too is, at her rank, there's no way this character is 18. She should be probably closer to 16. I'm trying to remember
how old was Obi-Wan before he was made a knight in Phantom Menace?
Yeah, like I think Obi-Wan is supposed to be. I think Obi-Wan is supposed to be.
He's in his 20s. He's in his 20s.
But wait. Let's take that whole idea of the age one step or two further. First of all, how come the Earth age of consent should apply anywhere else? And secondly, as far as being made a knight or whatever because you've reached a certain age, the theory behind that is you've gained the experience of those years in order to make better judgments and more consequential decisions. But if it's all, well, you reached the official mark, your birthday, so boom, you're it. Whether you're capable of it, whether you're qualified for it or not, that's the whole insidious point of this.
Correct.
It's all about making everything, quote unquote, perfectly normal and acceptable, regardless of the content. And that's what I said about this idea of a virgin birth in the Jedi or whatever. That's so that some kid who has no particular training or experience or knowledge of either sexual things or religious things or human relationships as far as men and women being husband and wife and having responsibilities. That's so that when they get a little older and they go to church and somebody tells them the story of this guy named Jesus Christ being a virgin birth, their first reaction is, "Oh, you mean like the girls in Acolyte?" In other words,
Anakin Skywalker too. It was the same.
Yeah, exactly, but they want people from a very tiny minority of the population, a very minuscule minority of the proposition, most of whom, other than their own guilt or inhibitions or whatever, aren't experiencing on a day-to-day basis anything particularly oppressive. They want to be so acceptably normal that somehow they get if it keeps going the way it goes, gay privilege will become a thing.
Is that percentage of the population in Hollywood different than the rest of the United States, Lou?
I
mean, is it?
I'm not saying Hollywood has anything to do with it. I'm saying just in the population overall.
I'm just wondering about because it seems to me that there's a bubble of a mindset out there and people get caught up in that.
Well, my experience of people wanting credit, social, financial, political, whatever, or otherwise, based on their self-proclaimed status as opposed to their actual deeds and character, is that's usually the people who don't have very many deeds or much character, because they feel like the fact that they're quote unquote inferior in whether it's work ethic or anything else is somehow not their fault. Isn't that the message? Isn't that the message of pay off my student loans?
Oh.
Isn't that the message of I get a cutout and an exception for stopping traffic in favor of my? If you were in my way and I was trying to get to work, and you weren't out there doing it for a cause I believe in, you have no recourse, no validity in my mind. But if I'm doing it, it's special because I'm oppressed.
Well, those of us that have paid should get a refund.
Hold on. They want to try to say that, like, oh, well, if you don't like this show, it's because of XYZ reasons. It's because you don't like gay people. It's because
they literally
you don't
say
like
it.
women.
They say because you're all racist, sexist, evil.
But look at House of the Dragon, a show with 2 female leads. Okay, with an entire gay subplot from last season that's definitely coming back, race swapped characters, and guess what? Nobody cares about that because the story is good, because they put entertainment over agenda, because this is not, they're not making this to be a show about identity politics. They're making just a good show that happens to have these things in it, and that's fine. That's what I'm looking for.
That's exactly right. And the comparison that just came to me is this. Back in the era of, just as a generalization, World War II, there were umpteen movies made, and it's a squad in the army or it's a crew of a ship. And there's a black one and a white one and an Italian one and a Jewish one and an Irish one. And they're all in it together, and that's fine. And it's sending a message of we're all equal because no one of them is superior because of which of those entities they happen by the luck of the draw of life and birth to be. Now it's, yes, we're all equal, but I'm more of a victim, and therefore I'm going to rule you all, and you have nothing to say about it. That's the difference. It's not about diversity. It's about privilege, revenge, if you will.
Yeah, we
Real,
don't even have to
imagined.
We don't have to go back that far. I recently watched Drive-Away Dolls. Has anybody seen that?
Yeah, I've heard about it.
No, I haven't even heard of it.
It's Ethan Coen, I believe. It's one of the Coen brothers did it, and it's kind of like a stylized movie, and it's about 2 women who are, bank robbers and stuff. Great movie though, and very diverse, and a very strong female empowering message. And I had no problem with. I love that. I thought it was great. Very stylized. I'm a big Coen brothers fan. I think all their stuff is good. So there's current, and like you said, House of the Dragon is a good example. I'm not a Game of Thrones guy, but from everything I've heard and from what I've seen, it seems like they're doing there. It's about being true to the stories.
Yeah.
It's about being and making good entertainment, and The Acolyte just isn't that. And it's also because it does claim and push the diversity when it's not there, when it's absent. When you really think about it, it becomes more apparent to me. When I look at it and all I hear about is how diverse it is. The second I see that it's not, it clicks in my head. And go ahead.
No, we have a panelist sitting in the backstage and waiting to get on. Folks from friends over at That Park Place. You know him, you love him. He is a hangry table.
Hello.
That guy.
Yeah.
Angry, welcome to the show.
It's timely that you should be here, Angry, because I was just about to say somebody was complimenting the Coen brothers. Hangry and I and Lauren Connor do a thing called the Genre Guys, where we look at a good movie and figure out why. And we did a great show on the Coen brothers version of The Lady Killers, the remake of the old English comedy.
Good. Underrated. Underrated.
It's underrated, and it applies to all of this because Lauren, brilliant Lauren, came up with a theory of that movie that makes perfect sense to me now, but I never would have thought of it. He says Tom Hanks is the devil. And the whole thing is about him getting these guys basically punished for their sins one way or another by trapping them into this thing. Go watch our show and you'll see. He makes a pretty good case for it.
He does indeed. And Lou, I thought you were going to say the Battlefield Earth was also done by the Coen brothers.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I would watch a Coen Brothers Battlefield Earth. I would.
A couple super chats to get to.
I have paid my dues with Battlefield Earth once, and I'm done.
Brennan White checking in for two British pounds says, wonder what Dr. D would do if he watched The Acolyte. Now, he's talking, of course, for those of you that watch our wrestling show, about Dr. D Dave Schultz, our favorite wrestler. Kevin, what do you think Dr. D would have to say about The Acolyte?
I think Dr. D would have thrown the television through his window and gone on with his life.
I was looking for a woman. I found a lot of women who look like men.
Well, you know how Roddy Piper always said that line about just when they think they have all the answers, I change the questions.
Yeah.
So I think
they got the answers. I changed the questions.
Now, what would he say to The Acolyte? I don't know what the questions are. I don't know what the answers are. I just know I don't care.
Lou, you might actually remember Dr. Dave Schultz because he was the one that slapped John Stossel in the face.
Yeah. Something that once in a while should be done.
Yeah,
then that's probably true of all of us. But
John JID 999 for $5. Thank you very, very much. Is saying same as WWE and AEW. If you don't like it, it's not the fact that it's a bad show or shits on the business previous. You just must hate having fun and everybody. Yeah, that is the yeah.
Well, it's these all these reboots and you know, agenda-driven shows, they all suffer from the same problem. And it's a lack of authenticity. These shows do not feel authentic. They don't feel genuine. It's pandering when you see it. You know when someone's being disingenuous when you see it. This doesn't feel like Star Wars. This feels like Star Wars cosplay. It feels like bad fan fiction. It's again, you could run down.
I'm sorry, I'm very prejudiced. The words bad fan fiction are a double negative.
But, you know, if I could just say quickly, like I was thinking about The Acolyte the other day and seeing, it's funny because somebody very, like a close acquaintance of mine, he likes the show. And he's saying, yeah, you know, it's really good. Like I'm enjoying it. It's really good. And I'm looking at him like, you know, he grew a second head or something. But I see what they're going for with this. This is the type of show that you would have to make after having a successful, a well-received and universally loved trilogy, after having 5 seasons of Mando and maybe, I don't know, like a Jedi Academy where with Luke in a heroic role, when you really kind of established good quality Star Wars content that all the fans really enjoy. And then you are able to go out, now that you've sort of laid this sort of foundation saying, hey, we're Disney Lucasfilm. We've given you all of this great stuff. Now we're going to get a little bit experimental. And so then you have, you know, Space Witches, and you've got them talking about the thread and so on and so forth. The virgin birth is a bit much. But this is the type of show that they jumped the gun on, that they did not build up enough cred, or they did not build up enough of a solid reputation for us to give them the benefit of the doubt and for them to be able to go out and, you know, dabble and to do things. Because on paper, this show hits all those points, right? Like there's no Skywalkers. It is new, like, you know, it features new characters. It's set in a different time, a different location, like all the things that in theory, should work. Like communism, it doesn't though.
No, but that's the point. If you had people involved with it who had been responsible for all that positivity that never happened anyway, you know, it's all well and good to say I've got this great idea and I've got a different take, and it would be a little experimental and everything that you just said. But first, you have to show me the one you did that worked, that didn't have all that.
Exactly.
The one that shows you can write competently and with characters I give a damn about. And you can direct competently and with visuals and style and substance that I care about.
But there are things about
this is what I was saying about fanfic. This is fanfic with $1 million per minute budget.
It's fan fiction, but it's not written by a fan.
Was it? I'll give fan fiction. I'll defend you a little bit, because the average fan fiction is written by a kid who's just learning. Like they've
exactly.
It's however right it cuts the teeth.
Yeah, they're experimenting with trying to find their voice while kind of writing a love letter to the content that they enjoy. This is yes, we've seen the concept of failing upwards on steroids over the last 15 years coming out of Hollywood, but this is beyond the pale.
Well, and also what Hangry just said, all of that stuff, if you've got all that going for you, characters, plot, ideas, different, why do you have to put the word Star Wars in front of it? Why can't you just do it as your own thing?
That's a very good. I say that all the time.
This is what they'll pay you for.
I scream this all the time, though. It's for the people. I say these people always tell you who they are. They will always accuse you of the thing that they are doing, and they'll always tell you that you are the thing that they are. This is out and out actual cultural appropriation, unchecked, unfiltered, unleashed. They go in and they invade your space. They colonize it. They ravage it. They leave it for dead. And when there's absolutely nothing left and it's totally strip mined, they leave you with a desiccated husk and go on to the next IP.
And maybe it just will never match. Let's take this back. Let us say that all else is equal, but the sexual attitudes are now, but we're talking about 1965 or 1970. And you've got a huge hit called, I don't know, pick one of the great TV shows. Pick the Andy Griffith Show or All in the Family, or Leave It to Beaver. And it's such a big hit, and people are clamoring for more like that. And somebody says, I know, let's do Leave It to Beaver, but make them all gay.
Yeah,
I know. Let's do All in the Family and make them all. I don't know.
And now we have the double entendres of the show.
Mm-hmm. I saw something a while back, and I just looked and found it. It was the 6 steps of the so-called SJW inclusivity in an IP. Step 1, we demand you include us in your space. Step 2, we demand you change your space to accommodate us. Step 3, we demand you stop harassing us because you don't like our demands. Step 4, we demand new laws or rules be enacted to remove you from the space we've created, as you don't fall in line with our vision of what that space should be. Step 5, why don't you go off and create your own space if you don't like it? Step 6, we demand you not create your own space after we have kicked you out of our space, as you having your own space is inherently racist, sexist, misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic. It's rinse and repeat. That's it.
It's the story of the camel.
But in a sane world, which we are becoming more and more of as we get fed up with this bullshit, I can say that, can't I? In the interest of truth in advertising, the audience isn't there.
That's
the audience isn't there to pay the bills. If you were, I keep saying this idea of making a movie or a TV show for a budget that comes out for what you planned on spending that made sense based on the potential return is not rocket science.
No.
If it was, we wouldn't have a Hollywood anymore. It would have been gone long ago, because everybody likes to spend more money than they've got. That's just human nature.
Look at the biggest hits. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the first stage of any business plan, whether you're selling widgets or whether you're producing a television show, who is your audience? Identify your audience. Decide who your audience is, and is that audience large enough? Do they have a large enough market? Is there a large enough market share there for you to make a profit based on that audience? Now, Disney has clearly decided that it wants to go in a different direction from its established audience. The problem is that audience does not have enough volume to generate the money that they need to justify the continuation of these IPs.
No, it's worse than that. It's worse than that, because Disney has decided just because we put the mouse symbol on the front of it, they'll come anyway.
Yes, that's also it. It's an expectation.
So the hubris and arrogance is just palpable with these people.
You treat
discipline. Go ahead, Kevin Apollo, then disciplinary committee.
It's the constant need to treat your customers like they're mindless consumers. They are entitled to your money. They are entitled to your time. How dare you not do what we want you to do? And it's like you forgot. Like, as someone, if I'm a fan, I'm making a conscious decision to invest my money into my entertainment. And so it's like the lack of respect for the shopper, for your customer, for your guest. It's gone, and it's, I don't know.
It's not just lack of respect; it's full blown contempt.
Well, now yes, we've crossed over in the full blown contempt. I mean, but Bob Iger, he might as well just be driving around with his middle finger out the window at this point.
Exactly.
Well, see, okay. So my question about that is Inside Out 2. Right? I mean, look at what it did this way. And that
did you see the interesting stat? You know what percentage of Inside Out 2 was kids? 25%.
My kid is not interested in it at all. I can tell you that.
25% of the audience were children.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, how does that movie open?
75% adults.
So what does that say to you? I'll tell you what it says to me. It says that a lot of those adults were people who have kids but didn't want to risk it until they'd seen it themselves first.
Yeah. And now, from what I understand,
because of what had gone before. Now, take that factor out, and then tell me how much it would have made. Twice as much.
Now, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it myself because my kid has no interest in it, which is weird because even though he's 10, he still likes cartoon. Like he wants to what is it? That Ryan Reynolds movie. He wants to go see that.
Yeah.
The one with imaginary creatures, and he likes the Sonic movies. And we just are going to go see Kung Fu Panda 4 next week, actually. So he still is into animated movies, but he had no interest in. He really doesn't have any interest in anything Disney since Enchanto. Is that how you pronounce that?
Encanto, yeah.
Encanto.
Which, by the way, I think was Disney's last successful animated movie.
But it wasn't, though. When it came out in theaters, it bombed gloriously. It did really well on Disney Plus.
Kids, I will say this: every kid that he hangs out with knows that movie, sings songs from that movie.
It's very, it's popular. It's very, very popular.
It carried on. And by the way, that movie had a great message of inclusion and stuff without getting too far into, without making it the whole thing. I thought.
But it was a good movie. I liked it.
Yeah, from what I understand about Inside Out 2, it kind of stays away from a lot of that stuff. They tried to make it. It sounds like the audience tries to shape it that way because they don't want to believe that.
But wait a minute. Consider what a terrible rock and a hard place they're in.
Yeah,
they know we really should backpedal that political stuff because it's making more waves than it is. I don't know what the metaphor is, but at the same time, we can't say, "Oh, we learned our lesson. We're not doing that anymore," very loudly, or they'll piss off all the people that they were pleading with to come watch it in the first place because of it.
But I mean, they're totally trapped.
But not too loud and not too hard, and not all the time it was under production. Only when it was actually there, ready to be bought. And let us not forget, gang, they've got 2 weeks.
But Lou, on that
they've got 2 weeks because the minions are going to come take over the universe here at 4th of July.
That's true. Despicable Me 4 comes out 4th of July. We can.
My kid wants to see that. He's very excited about that one.
just on the point you made though, that they're afraid that they're trapped. I think it's a trap. I think it's basically a fake trap. It's a trap of their own making. Because we just established, and not just us establishing, but we've seen this over the last 5 years, that the audience that they're chasing after just isn't there. It's not like they're not supporting their efforts. They're afraid of them. They're afraid of the backlash they would get if they did step back. But there will come a point where they'll have to get over it, where they'll have to realize, you know what? Even if these people scream and freak out on X or wherever, we eventually have to go where the money is. And so I feel that it's a trap of their own making. No, because
why will they ever have to go over? Because if they haven't already, what is going to be the straw that breaks the back that makes
the fact that Elon Musk bought Twitter, and the fact that more and more people are pushing back against these things, the fact that cancel culture is itself starting to be canceled. And so as these things go on, as next year at this time, or maybe even 3 years at this time, when people don't care anymore, when people don't care about being,
I wish I was as sanguine as you are that will happen.
I've got to agree with Lou on this one. I think there are a lot of executives running companies that wish they were running other companies. The lady who's running Cracker Barrel doesn't want to be in some cornpone hick company like that.
No.
The people that run McDonald's don't want to be making fast food. And the people at Disney don't want to be a family brand. They want to be a mega media conglomerate.
And what was the excuse for the light beer? Well, we don't want to be the beer guzzling redneck jerks. We want to be cool and hip. We think we can be better and more money and be more respected by our personal peers, saying we put the first trans guy on a beer can.
Yeah, they didn't want to be the frat guy brand.
Then we sold more beer than everybody else.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, well, they lost $1 billion. They lost $1 billion, I believe.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem
that was in
matter
market
to them.
Well, and again, that is know your audience, and that is a 100% fail in the know your audience.
And I meant
They
to
know
say,
their audience. They don't
When
care.
they don't care about their audience. They know the audience.
their audience is their peers, not their customers.
Yeah.
The people you get to talk to at the cocktail parties, that's the people they want to impress.
Well, and Marvin, when you first brought that up about knowing your audience is the basic everything, it's not just the basic everything because putting a lot of your hard-earned resources into a brand that goes against your audience is bad. It's not just a financial thing, because what you're doing is you're throwing away the goodwill that you've built. It is when I have written movies, Broadway shows, books. I get an idea for a book. The first thing I ask is not, well, how does it come out or what are the characters? The first thing I ask is basic one-line story description. Who would be interested in reading that?
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't figure that out, I'm not going to invest my time, let alone whatever money and other resources it takes to write it, to put it out there, to publicize it, all the rest of it. But just the very energy of creating it from that idea stage to an actual, real, tangible, marketable product, it ain't worth the effort if I got it and say, oh boy, it's done, it's on Amazon. Now, who can I sell it to? Too late. Maybe years too late. Maybe years too late. And you come up with innovative solutions. I did a mystery series. And the detective, I don't know how many of you ever have read the Travis McGee books, where he lives on a houseboat in Florida, and that's his home base for his detectiving. Okay, mine was kind of a tribute to that. Only my guy was an RV guy. Okay, first thing I did was say, all right, mystery people are going to like it anyway, but how do I reach the RV audience? And you see what I'm trying to say? You look for. You look for, and if you can't define that except, well, people like me, and there aren't that many people like you compared to the vast wide world out there, I don't want 5% of the audience. I want 100% of the audience. If I shoot for them, maybe I'll get 50 and I'll be very happy and very rich, if that matters to me. But if I'm too busy standing on a street corner telling people how evil they are for being capitalists, chances are I missed the point of the story in the first place. You see? It's a business. No. It's a business, and these people don't know about businesses. And talk about contempt; they are contemptuous capitalism by nature.
Yeah. I do want to. I see a lot of what's being said, and I see a lot of I see a lot of wisdom in a lot of the things being said. I do want to focus a little bit also on the story.
Yeah.
But the story of this thing falls short, because I think that the startlingly bad writing of The Acolyte is one of the things that makes
and that's what I meant when I talked about people having to have the skills. You can have everything else, but if you've never done it before, except to do storyboards in Canada, you don't become the director of a high-profile major franchise feature.
There are things about the story structure of this that make no sense to me. Like episode 4, nothing happens, which, bottle episodes are fine, but in a bottle episode, you need character growth or something like that.
You need enough stuff in your backdrop, enough shows without the bottle, that the bottle isn't all there is.
I was going to say that's fine when you have 26 episodes in a season, and you need a cheap episode to, it's not going to break the budget. There's 8 episodes, and episode 4 is a walk through the woods with cops and a witness.
And every episode costs more than Godzilla than 2 Godzilla -1s.
And episodes.
Where is that money? Where is that money
Episodes
going?
don't even mean anything anymore when one is 30 minutes and one is 22 minutes and one is 2 at a time and one is once.
Well, here's my question to you guys. Do you feel that the writing in Acolyte is worse than that in Book of Boba Fett?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because at least some things in Book of Boba Fett made sense and tied together. There were even moments in Book of Boba Fett that I liked. Things like May all of a sudden deciding to turn on her master, who's now raised her for 9 years and taught her everything, because she finds out that her sister, who she tried to murder, is alive. It came out of nowhere. It made no sense. And then let's put it this way. At least when the Book of Boba Fett showed us a cool, badass looking Wookiee, we actually got to see that cool, badass Wookiee do things. Right here, we see Leslie Headland making an Alfred Hitchcock level appearance in her own work, meeting up with young Oshley here. And we've introduced this character of Kalnaka, which also you're making another Wookiee with the last part of the name Aka.
No. It's French for what a great rack.
Yeah, right.
Kelnakas.
Was she in the holiday special?
Yeah. So we meet Kelnaka
from the holiday special.
I got to tell you, that Wookiee looks so much less like Chewbacca and so much more like Harry and the Hendersons.
It does look like Harry and the Hendersons. Yes, you're right.
I wish I was watching Harry and the Hendersons.
We are introduced to this concept of a Wookiee Jedi, okay? And I actually liked that concept. And I'm like, okay, I want to see a Wookiee using the Force. I want to see a Wookiee wielding a lightsaber. Killed off screen. Nothing. We get nothing of this Wookiee. The only
did you hear the
interesting concept
was budget.
Oh, yeah, what was the excuse? Oh, budget. Yeah,
the excuse was that it would have broke the budget.
Where is this budget going?
What budget?
$180 million for
budget?
what?
And
for what?
Am I too conspiratorial?
I keep saying we got to change how we keep score, because once upon a time it was how many tickets did you sell, and how much per ticket did you keep, and how much did it cost you to make, and I'll tell you whether you made money or not. It's pure and simple. But with all of these Disney Plus things, there is no score. Even the Nielsen ratings that they keep ascribing to views and minutes and all the rest don't mean anything, because the whole idea of Nielsen was not what's the most popular. It was how much can we charge for the ads. But if the measure of these shows, this one, Ahsoka, is A, do we keep the people we've already got subscribing, and B, are we going to get more because people like this? Then by those measures, which are the only ones that really count, this is worse than Cleopatra or Heaven's Gate. It really is.
$180 million, and that's if they stuck to the budget. They went over budget. There's no way she didn't blow through this budget. Where does this all go? Godzilla -1 made for what, $15 million, and there was a whole Godzilla that they made in that.
Let's go back to Andor. Andor was absurdly expensive, and other than it, I think it was a $155 million dose of melatonin. Because I, other than sleeping through the entire thing, I can't tell you where all that money went to.
I said it earlier. The second something happened on this show, it ended.
Yes.
They can't. There was an action scene that started, and they cut off in the middle of the action scene. And next week is going to be a flashback. They're not coming right back to that.
You think they're already gonna flash back again?
These things. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
these things are so programmed. I guarantee you, on a show like this, look, I've made a lot of sitcoms. Okay, I've made about 300 episodes of network sitcom, and I never ever started by saying, okay, let's see. I can afford X million dollars, and I have to make 23 episodes. So if I divide those evenly, that means each one is worth this. And if I'm going to do that, that means I can't have that one where I have super special effects and a big fight scene, because that'll eat up 3 episodes worth. So that means I need 3 that are less. And do all that on a financial, sit there with my computer and my abacus and figure all this out. This thing isn't done that way. This thing is done with, we've got 8 episodes, and at least when they started with these 6 and 8 and 10 episode things, they had hour long, or half hour long. Now it's episodes, whatever. It's all when we yell, come back next week. Well, if they do that, I guarantee you, they said, okay, out of 8 episodes, research shows us we need 3 big action sequences. Now, how do we allocate them out? Well, we got to have a big one at the beginning to keep people interested. We got to have a big finale that tops them somehow. And someplace in between, there's got to be 1 or 2 smaller ones to keep it going. Then we shoot those and we say, how much did we really spend? All right, we know that in between those things, we have to get from point C to point D. How can we do that? Well, if we do it on the level we've just done those action sequences, it's going to cost, forget it. We don't want to spend that much. So how can we? Well, we can have a whole episode where they just talk about their pronouns. And that's how that happens. Because we don't have to do it for 30 minutes or 27 minutes or 58 minutes. We just have to do it till we can say pause and go to the next one.
Here's the thing, though. The first episode didn't have a big action scene. It had someone almost was like the second episode had someone almost falling down a hill. Yeah,
see, I don't consider those 2 episodes. When every one of any of these shows, when they planned it out, we're going to show 2 for the first batch because we think that'll hook people for the rest of them. Well, and it'll give us a way to merge the ratings of any one of the 2.
Exactly, Lou. Yeah. So that they could say we had 4.8 million people watch, when it was actually 2.2.
In this tedious analysis I just did, and I admit it, was there anything about story or characters or people you gave a damn about? No. It's all mechanical. Oh, and then you had one more factor to all that mechanical stuff. We got to put in a pitch for homosexuality and politics. After that, well, whatever. What do you got? You got an idea about genders for a fuzzy little character? Okay, well, that'll be 10 minutes of the 20 and the third with the fourth of the. It's not storytelling. It's shuffling cards. It's solitaire. When you ever get look, they sell all these solitaire games for your computer, right, or your phone, and they all have 97 solitaire games. And 99% of the people, 99% of the time, play Klondike. Period. Right? Mm-hmm. So all that other stuff is just it's window dressing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the people who make it. Doesn't matter to the people who buy it. But
a few super chats. Mike Middleton says Grace Randolph loves it. Thus, you are all wrong. And then John JID 999 following that up for $2. Thank you. Says I still haven't found out who Grace Randolph is, and I think you're better off, my friend. I've suggested to everyone whenever we talk about Grace Randolph, people are like, "Who's Grace Randolph?" And I'm like, "Don't look into it. You're better off not knowing."
Ignorance is bliss.
And you know what I hear? I hear Blazing Saddles. How about Randolph Scott when he came through here and
Randolph Scott?
Yeah.
Over at that Park Place, they covered it. YouTuber Grace Randolph admits Lucasfilm poked the bear with Acolyte, accuses critics of taking on hate speech qualities. There she is. Good. Now, our friend Awful Wrestling loves her, by the way. I just want to point that out.
The Grace Randolph experience isn't complete without hearing that shrill harpy screech.
But don't worry, I'll do an impression. In a thread posted to X, Randolph wrote, I understand why some of you are frustrated with Star Wars right now, and I'm by no means trying to tell you your feelings are wrong. I do feel the loudest voices against the Acolyte are taking on hate speech qualities, and that does not help your cause. As for me, I genuinely like the show. I'm excited for you to see episode 4 on Tuesday. The best of the 4 episodes I saw, and admits, I'll stop right there. What the hell, Grace?
Marvin, I think you've just got the voice for a new Muppet, or a puppet rather. Race Gandalf.
Race Gandalf.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Race Gandalf. I like that.
Race Gandalf. I'm Race Gandalf the White.
Not piss on this show.
I'm Race Gandalf the White, and I return to you now at the turning of the tide.
She said, I understand you're upset, which is like, show me where the bad episode of Acolyte hurt you on the doll.
But again,
even though you saying that is verging on hate speech, but you're not a hater, are you? So don't say it anymore, or I will point out.
But again, Lou, it's the hate speech thing. It's saying that the reason you all don't like this is because of the diversity that they put into it, which is not the case, which has been proven with House of the Dragon. It is the fact that you are shielding the show in diversity, that the only thing anyone could talk about before this show came out was all the stunning and brave diversity, because there's nothing else to talk about, because the show is deep as a Dixie cup, because it's poorly written, it's poorly acted, it's poorly shot, the sets are ridiculous, there's plot holes you can fly the Death Star through, the messaging is as subtle as a brick to the face. Kevin Apollo, you were trying to say.
At what point did this show become stunning and daring, though?
I don't know. Kevin Apollo, what were you trying to say?
The power
we have
around there.
We have to invoke the hate speech, because whenever you so my main gig is HR. Whenever you do an investigation, whenever someone sends a letter and you're reading the letter, people have become very savvy when lobbying their complaints. They know that if I hit certain notes in a certain order, I'm going to take this non-existent issue and turn it to something major. So when I watch that review, it is as clear as day. I will bet my life Grace Randolph hasn't even so much as opened up her Disney Plus to watch an episode of The Acolyte, because she offered no content, no context. That she probably didn't know it existed until she got her talking points from Disney. So she has to say it's coming close to invoking hate speech, because we know the words hate and speech trigger irrational emotion from their minions and legions.
And she never mentions what their complaint is.
That's it.
You people hate it, and I understand, and I don't want to be judgmental of you evil, awful hate speechers, but I'm also not going to address your reasons as given for why you don't like it, because then I'd actually have to stand up for it officially. And since I'm doing that sub rosa anyway, that's as far as we go.
But she even goes as far as to say that she's using her show as a safe space for people who like The Acolyte. So it's like it's your standard university dribble nonsense.
Yeah.
To get the useful idiots.
Take it one step further and look at Disney's part in this.
Absolutely.
If you are not afraid of the content of what you're making, and if you want to open it up to journalists, and if you want to, as they do all the time, put embargoes and saying for this episode, you can't write about it until X date, because we don't want to blow too many spoilers way in advance. We think it'll hurt our audience, or whatever reason you have in mind. Or even if you don't want to give a reason. Why do they only show them 4, not all 8?
Mm-hmm.
All of them are saying, well, we saw the first 4. And that's all they saw.
And we've only seen footage from except for the light whip. We have only seen footage from the first 4 in all the trailers. So we're sailing off the map here. We're about to enter into uncharted territory with this.
And what we did see in all the promos was, oh my God, that girl who was so great in The Matrix is in it. I might want to watch it for that reason. Well,
dead
watch
in the
fast.
first 5 minutes.
Watch fast.
But this is part.
And
of
at this
why
point,
it's
if they bring her back, it's a further contempt. Ha! We fooled you, and watch, we'll rub it in.
But this is part of why it's a little dangerous to sort of make these assumptions, because, I remember when Chris Gore had come out and said that he'd seen the 3rd and the 4th episode of The Acolyte, and one of his predictions was that the Smilo Ren was going to take off his helmet and be revealed to be one of the mothers, and he would say, or he or she would say to Osha, "I am your mother," and so on and so forth. And now it's looking more that this Smilo Ren character is discounted as Miller. That seems to be what everyone is saying. So maybe there is some massive action sequence in the last episode that we don't know, which has sucked up all of the budget. Like, I don't know.
It's possible.
Yeah,
but Hangry, I'm gonna say my theory is, I think kind of everything is true that you said. I think that when Smilo Ren's mask comes out, it is Asian Ezra Miller. But I think he is not the master. I think he's a minion, and I think we're gonna get one of the 2 witch mommies. I think in an "I am your mother" moment as the true, and I think one of them will actually end up being Darth Plagueis.
That's a good.
I think at this point it's irrelevant. I think if you can't do the big sequence like you just said, Angry, consider when we just recently did Gunga Din. And first thing I said was that the battle sequences with no CGI and no modern filmmaking in 1930 something in the middle of the desert in Northern California were every bit as good, if not equal and better, to the massive battle sequences in Lord of the Rings, right? But we also said that that speech that the evil thug high priest gives about, you know, our people were building cities of gold when you people were living in mud huts and painting yourselves blue. That's a highlight. And that costs nothing but a good actor, a good script, and a couple of lights and a camera. So it doesn't have to be the physical properties of it to carry you through at least a 20-minute episode. If that was all there was and the rest of the episode was people talking about pronouns, you wouldn't even remember the pronouns. You'd remember that performance and that speech and the power of it if it was any good and the people had the ability to create it. They don't, and there's your problem. So
12
to me,
Angry Men takes place in 2 rooms.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, it does. Yeah. The Scott Hall GV, by the way, says Coral is the Sith Master. That's Mama Horny, the one with the horns. The one who carried the kids, and she killed all the other women because they didn't protect the kids and let the Jedi take one away. I might be able to follow you on that. I don't when I think that when one of the mothers is revealed to be the mastermind behind this, they're not going to be presented as the villain. Because I'm telling you, the lesbian witches are not going to be villains in a Leslie Headland story. It's not going to happen. Because there's moments in the 3rd episode where, like, I think that Mama Yas was like gaslighting and manipulating the kids, bribing them even to like get them to do what she wanted. And I'm like, I just think that's Leslie Headland's a bad person and doesn't know how good people act, because there's no way Mama Yas is supposed to be a bad person.
If you take those scenes and make it a little more realistic, right? Let's say the girls, because we're talking about a custody battle here. Those scenes played out essentially like, hey, mom is telling me to lie to the judge so that dad can't get shared custody.
Right.
So
right.
It's, we know what was going on. I wanted to jump back to, we're talking, which one is which? OSHA violation is the good one.
Yeah. OSHA. So Mary Kate is the bad one, and Oshley is the good one.
So May, listen, her change, we know that there is no creative or narrative reason for her change outside of Leslie said that this character, even though she is a murder, death, kill psychopath who tortured a bird and was willing to murder her sister because she was going to go away for a little bit and facilitated the death of her lesbian mommy cult, she can't leave this show being the bad guy. So now she needs to have a unearned change of heart, because she has to find a way to become good. That is the only reason this happened. That was the extent of her actual creative skill set.
It was for sure the definition of I did this because the script told me I have to do it.
We can't have a female of color leave this show being the villain.
Yeah. But there's an even more fundamental problem that they've got with this thing. And if you were just going to say, hey, I got an idea, let's do a Star Wars show about a group of a matriarchy who are secretly the source of all of this thread stuff and whatever else you wanted to put into the 5-minute elevator pitch. Until you solve one basic problem, you can't make this work. There's no matter of distraction and twisting and fooling, which is this. You know, you can have great powers of the Force. You can have great cosmic wisdom. You can have truth and justice and good and evil. There's one thing you can't do if you are truly a lesbian. Have children. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. And if you're going to have that happen to any rational, logical member of the audience, you better have a damn good reason, excuse, whatever you want to call it. You know, even if it's just a magic spaceship from the planet Ding Dong came over, waved their magic wand, and gave you different gonadal properties. but something, but to say, well, but see, we're just as good as men, and we're just as good as you, and so we don't need no stinking biology. That is not an answer.
Was the planet Ding Dong comment intentional?
You mean as opposed to the planet Ho Ho?
Oh God!
Sure, we'll go with that one. We'll go with
Kevin Apollo, what were you about to add?
I know what you said, Nolan. Honest, I did. I just didn't want to be a hostess to your Twinkies. That's all.
Kevin Apollo.
Listen, let's look at even how they treated the act of carrying the children, right? Because Mother Horny is the one who actually walked around and grew the children, and she goes, I birthed them, and then immediately Mama Yaz goes, yeah, but I created them. So right out the box, they're telling you that, you know, the act of being a mother isn't even that important.
Yeah, whether you are the receptacle or the inseminator, you're plumbing. You're not nurturing.
Yeah, like, I caught that too. It was like, are you trying to say that like the fact that like I created them trumps I carried them? Because I think I carried them is a lot more of an inconvenience to life than I created them.
Can we agree though that in the absence of a father, two twin girls being raised by just mothers will be dressed alike even to 10 years old?
Yeah.
Yes. That is
and
true.
that was super. Same hair, same clothes, all the time, constantly. No wonder one of them just wants to be alone and have her own stuff.
Actually, I think what happened was that the horny whatever looked through a time warp teleportation visual device back to this other galaxy over here where we're all making this crap, and became sexually transfixed by Patty Duke. So they walk alike, they talk alike. At times they even, I don't know what they do alike, but I'm not sure.
You could lose your mind.
At the same time, like,
Yes.
are we to believe that there was no biology involved in their creation? Because they're not Iridonian Zabrak. They don't have horns. They don't look anything like the one that carried them, whose ovum they would have come from.
Well, listen, not to super jump back into the rabbit hole, but this goes along with
Who are you calling a rabbit hole?
This goes along with the messaging that we've been getting slaughtered with since 2012. These people go out of their way to diminish or destroy the role of the parent. So it
takes a village.
Yeah. They successfully removed fathers from TV. Well, I can't remember the last time we saw a competent father on TV.
The days of Uncle Phil and Carl Winslow and Danny Tanner are long gone.
We have Bluey.
We do have Bluey.
Yeah, we do have
Bluey. The most popular thing on Disney Plus, by the way, is Bluey.
The last thing that Disney Plus wants to talk about is Bluey, and not for the reasons you may be thinking about getting the future seasons and negotiating and not having gotten the park rights when they might have. It's a simple truth. I bought my just 1 year grandson Bluey on disc from Amazon. First two seasons were in 1995. They just put the third season out for that much again, just for the one. But here's what I know. I don't have to keep subscribing to a streaming service for that kid to be able to watch those all day, every day, 24/7 for the rest of their natural disc life. And when they wear out, he can buy more. Oops.
And they can't
There
change
go the rest of the subscribers to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
The only thing that's keeping them there is they don't know that they can buy that stuff and have it.
If they lose Bluey, then you're going to see a mass exit. It's going to be like when they lost cricket in India, and you just saw millions upon millions of people unsubscribe.
Yeah,
I'd like to see how Bob
and by the way,
that story.
As stupid and dull and totally pointless a game as cricket is to watch, a game that makes Australian rules football look like tiddlywinks compared to wrestling for excitement. If people drop Disney because they can't get cricket, what can Disney put on that's going to be more stultifyingly, boringly, not a savor of the channel than that? I mean, really, come on now, Okay,
so you know what? We've talked a lot about
everything.
what we've talked a lot about what they've done to the Force, what Hollywood and Kathleen Kennedy and Disney, what they've done to the Force. I would like to take a second to talk about what is being done in Hollywood to the Schwartz.
Oh,
Okay?
yeah.
Because Spaceballs sequel in development at Amazon with Josh Gad starring and Mel Brooks producing.
Well,
I knew you guys were going to have that reaction.
Yeah, but I just commented on that. And here is what I said. First of all, Mel Brooks is a genius, and there's only one. And he's very old. And development is a very slow process in the biz these days. And his name may be on it when it comes out someday, but his participation will be as it will be less than George Lucas's participation in The Acolyte.
It'll be as much as he participated in the History of the World Part 2. How much money do you think Hulu gave him to pretend Wanda Sykes is funny?
Yeah,
that show.
I was just about to say that.
But my point is, if you have an idea for a hilarious sci-fi spoofy comedy thing, why does it have to be spun off from that? Answer: they don't have enough faith in whatever it is you've got to have it stand on its own 2 feet. Pardon me, stumble on Josh Gad's feet.
Oh, Josh Gad.
So Spaceballs sequel in development at Amazon and MGM Studios. Josh Gad is set to star and will produce alongside Mel Brooks. Josh Greenbaum will direct the film from a screenplay by Benji Sammet, Dan Hernandez, and Josh Gad himself, while Kevin Salter will executive produce. The project is in early stages and plot details are being kept under wraps. Amazon declined to comment. These writing duos are best known for their work as screenwriters for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, Detective Pikachu, which, by the way, I did like.
I did like that.
Me too.
Yeah,
like
Adam's Family 2 and the upcoming Disney Lucasfilm special Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy.
Wait a minute. When was there an Adam's Family 1?
There was an animated film.
Yeah, 2 animated films.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, are they referring to the 90s one? I was so confused.
No. Josh Gad is the name that just turns me off of this completely. Who thinks Josh Gad is funny today?
I did when the Book of Mormon first came out.
Yes,
I was like, oh, this guy's funny, and I liked him on the Daily Show originally. But the back when I watched,
but the big claim to fame was, oh my God, Disney made a show with one of the guys doing the voice of the sidekick of the bad guy who's gay. Oh my God!
Well, remember
don't you wish there was a more innocent time like that, where that was a big story?
Yeah, oh my God. If Mel Brooks was actually like in the right mind to actually write this thing, it would be like, instead of the thread, they would be like the bread.
Yeah.
A bunch of witches like throwing carbohydrates around.
And by the way, the longer they wait to have this come out, the anti-Semitic leftist gay mafia is not going to want anything in that movie called The Schwartz.
Disciplinary committee, what were you about to say?
So did Josh Gad do so well with the Muppets that they thought that he should get
Was he involved with the Muppets? What did he do with them?
No, he had a failed he was going to do another revival of the Muppets on Disney Plus, and I think it actually turned into, remember when they did that little like weird Disney Plus Muppet thing
can I tell you something about that? This is that, like, me, like Jim Henson, my personal hero, I couldn't get through that.
No, I couldn't get through. Get through when they brought like Tyrese on. Like I was like,
I could not get through it.
Maybe we're making a point here that we didn't think we were making, which is that Disney's problem is timing. When they tried to do Muppets after Henson died, they got somewhere with it. Not great, but got somewhere. Their problem was trying to change George Lucas while he was still breathing.
Maybe.
I mean, what would be a great plot for a Spaceballs movie is Yogurt trying to sue Disney for stealing the plot of Spaceballs 1 and putting it in the Marvels.
That is something that the South Park guys could do well. That's their kind of take on the biz within the biz thing. That's not what this would be. But
you know what the project needs is Patton Oswalt. Patton Oswalt and Josh Gad together.
Oh my God!
In all seriousness, I just like thinking about it. Like, I don't see what they could possibly do with a Spaceballs Part 2 in this in this day and age, in this era of litigiousness.
I've got a plot idea.
Yeah, because I'm drawing a complete blank.
Here's what you do. They get attacked by an evil overlord named not Kathleen Kennedy, and she tries to hijack the franchise and turn it into Space Ovaries.
that would kind of be funny.
And you know what?
Schwartz is female?
The Schwartz is female. Yeah, you know what? But this is Amazon, though. They're not going to.
Is
they're
the
not
opening
gonna do that.
shot the centerpiece of Epcot now, like just going straight down on that planter that looks the way it looks?
If anybody's going to take shots at Disney, it is Amazon. To be fair,
if this was being like produced and directed and written by the South Park guys, then I'd have a bit of hope.
Yes,
Amazon.
I mean, look, Amazon. I don't think Amazon's got the teeth to go after Disney. I think the only studio that really goes after Disney is Universal at this point.
True.
No,
You're right, Lou?
no.
Uh-oh.
Universal doesn't have to do a damn thing but sit back and watch them destroy themselves. For Universal to react means Universal's nervous, and they're not nervous. Look, did you see this thing that came out today about how this stupid county airport waiting room that they just opened at Epcot is the key to fighting back against Epic Universe?
I was on that video.
I know. I watched it, and it's like, oh, what planet are you on? My God! And by the way, tomorrow is the next reveal on Epic.
Are they doing another reveal?
Tomorrow it's Dark Universe.
Oh my God!
I gotta tell you, that's the one I've been waiting for most because it's the one we know as the smallest amount about yet. But tomorrow we find out.
I'm me and Mrs. Stone.
Go ahead,
really
man.
excited about that one.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait to see what the attractions are going to be.
The stupid uniform Michael Jackson thing on Dracula. But,
do you think that they move the old, because they closed down the Monsters Cafe in the original Universal Studios,
right,
to make it the Minions Cafe, which is a really good restaurant, actually. Probably my favorite restaurant in Universal right now in the actual parks is a Minions Cafe. Now, do you think they move that over?
Not move.
Kind of
they'll do
soup it
some.
up?
Obviously, they'll do things, but it won't be a move. I think the reason they shut it down this far in advance of it is because they don't want to be forced to make a connection. They don't want anything in the new park to be, well, yeah, we just moved it over there. Everything, even, obviously the Harry Potter stuff had to be totally new. And look at the things, look at how much Universal's had to change in the course of this, and it doesn't even have them break out a sweat. Look at how they were planning this new part of Harry Potter to be about Fantastic Beasts. They made 3 big movies. It didn't quite go where they wanted it to. And they said, okay, we can still keep all the French stuff for the outdoor stuff. We just have them go through the flues and wind up in London for the ride. End of story. Look at this thing about the roller coaster having to be renamed. They didn't bat an eye. They just said, okay, do it. And
They
imagine,
adapted? They adapted the thing Disney can never do?
Well, and listened. Mike, I keep saying, if Universal did nothing else to show you how they were listening, as opposed to telling you were wrong if you didn't like what their stuff was, look at where they went to from everything is screens and people saying, we hate screens, and them saying, okay, no more screens.
It's more than that. Universal list, like when a fan, so when fan made things like social media, like things would pop up around Disney would aggressively try to snuff it out or ignore it. I mean, it took them a really long time to embrace things like the Purple Wall and Dapper Day and things like that. Universal, there was, someone took a picture of a little pumpkin at Halloween Horror Nights and was like, this is Little Boo. And it became a social media phenomenon. And now there's Little Boo merchandise, officially licensed merchandise everywhere in Universal because they were like, wow, people like this. Let's jump on it. There was there was a squirrel living in the Christmas tree and people were taking pictures of the squirrel and they were calling him Earl the Squirrel. And now there is an official Universal character every Christmas called Earl the Squirrel that you can meet and take pictures with. Universal is actually listening to the fans and using their ideas. It's brilliant.
And Marvin, what after Universal in those instances, many of them, what theme park in the world listens the most by not doing things? I'll tell you who. Tokyo.
Oh yeah.
By not bowing down to changing Splash Mountain. By not
the land company.
Yeah, I mean, they're just saying no, we're not going to do that. Thanks a
I'm
lot.
going to step in here, and coming from Missouri, I'm going to say Silver Dollar City does fantastic.
I'm a Missourian. I used to work for Silver Dollar City. Great.
They are wonderful. They Disney. Someone put out a tweet last week where they were saying like all the things that are gone from Disney, and it was like, oh, they don't have candy shops. You can't watch them make candy. You can't watch blacksmithing. You can't watch this. And Silver Dollar City's like, no, we still got all of that. All of that is still here.
Sure.
Sure.
And by the way, there was a new survey poll, whatever, of the top 100 attractions, theme parks, national parks, whatever. In, I think it was the world, but it was at least America. I think it was America, pardon me, North America. Which one would people most like to go back to, having been there once? You know which company's not on the list?
Disney.
Yeah, and you know what's, this was international because the number one in America, which was number 4 in the world, you know which one it was?
What?
Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Oh, Dollywood.
Basically the same park as Silver Dollar City. They're based
right. Yeah.
John JID 999 says Carowinds here in North Carolina also does really well. So that's good to know.
And Carowinds and Six Flags, is that the companies that just merged?
Did they merge?
No.
Carowinds, because Carowinds is under Cedar Fair. So Cedar Fair and Six
Cedar
Flags
Fair and Six Flags have merged, right?
Yeah.
Like surprisingly good park. Oh, go ahead, Marvin.
I was just gonna say I'm down in Orlando traveling this week, and we had a preview to go ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure yesterday. So we got 7 a.m. we get in the virtual queue, boarding group like 33, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna get on so quick. We'll be in and out of there. I had stuff to do. I had Tooney Town Wrestling. We got there. We never got on the ride because it broke. It was broken all day. We left at 3 o'clock, and they were just starting to board people then. We got there at 9 a.m.
Yeah,
I was about to ask, how many times did it break in the time of you guys waiting?
And you replaced Splash Mountain, a ride that people thought was racist and had overtones or whatever. You replaced it with more overt racist overtones. It's about the Avery Island salt mines where slaves died.
Yeah, and it never occurred to them that salt mines are a negative image. That people saying to somebody, "I'm going to send you to the salt mines," is not you've just won a free vacation to Disney World. It's a one-way trip.
Come on down to salt mines, y'all. We're going to go find some critters to play at our party.
Lou, what kind of salt was that exactly? Is that table salt or was
no? Well, Avery, it's salt because that's where they make Tabasco. Yeah. But the biggest salt enterprise in Louisiana makes road salt for the Midwest.
Yep.
Tasty stuff. Dookie Chase never had a road salt recipe in her restaurant, I'll tell you that.
Making the salt mines this jovial, happy place is one of the most tone-deaf, insane things I've ever seen in my life.
By the way, they not only don't know anything about history or social whatever, they don't know much about agriculture. For time immemorial, going back to, Egypt, Rome, you know what you did to your enemy when you won? You sowed his fields with salt. And here we find out they were doing it all wrong. They were growing the wrong crop. If they'd only been growing okra, it would have survived the salt and danced around the field.
Does Disney not realize that in no point of history, whether we're going the 60s, 90s, today, whatever, have mines ever been portrayed or been considered a fun place to be?
Oh, no, you're wrong.
No? Mine trains are fun.
They're dig in their mind the whole day through. Because whipping them into doing it is what overseers like to do. Dun, 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 dun. I don't mean,
I stand
John
corrected.
JID 999 for $2 saying the two sad okra dancing represents Disney so well.
Oh God! Well, John JID. What I said was they're gonna have to do T-shirts and sweatshirts along the lines of the Thing 1 and Thing 2 ones from the Seuss area of islands. Because they'll have Okra 1 and Okra 2,
I like that. I've never been a big Dr. Seuss guy, but I really like that Dr. Seuss area in Islands of
I do
Adventure.
too. I do too. The
Yeah.
little not fast, not exciting train ride that flies all over it. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
it's fun. I think
they
it's
can't
a
all
cutely
be
themed
Hagrid's-
area. No, and I like the little Lorax area with the truffula trees and the green eggs and ham quick service location there. My favorite place in Islands of Adventure to eat.
And I'll tell you what the worst place in Islands of Adventure is, and everybody rates it as the greatest theme park restaurant in the history of.
Is it bad? Okay, I know what you're talking about. Go ahead and say it.
Odyssey. It's so bad, and it's so loud inside.
And,
I mean,
folks, this is a man that knows his food. So,
which restaurant? Are we talking about like Skyline Chili?
What's it called? Mythos.
Yeah. The one it's constantly rated like the #1 theme.
Well,
park
I don't know how
restaurant in
constantly.
all of-
They've had a banner hanging there for years and years and years that says it. I'm not so sure how recently but
I think last year.
But I mean, putting aside, I know I went to it with that banner there 4 years, 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
That's the ultimate strategy. Just leave the one from a decade ago up, and people are going to take the.
But
bait.
when you also own the City Walk area, and you've got what? No, pardon me, that's over at Disney. But when in the vicinity, there are restaurants by these minor, nobody, not famous at all chefs like Morimoto, and you know. And when the other guy's cookie store gets such a big brouhaha, and you think that bad hummus in a noisy, warehousey place with ugly rock work and bad makes you want to run to the bathroom, fountains running, is somehow, high-end Middle Eastern cuisine. Give me a break. Oh God, is that place? Anyway, so I'm saying I'm not saying Universal can do no wrong. Don't get me wrong. I remember when the first Universal opened there. And my thoughts when I heard they were doing it was, well, at least, unlike where they would have the real studio out in LA, they can do it from scratch and lay it out the right way and employ the simplest, wisest thing that Walt did. And that's the whole hub idea that lets people get. And I went there and I said, what? There isn't one? How could you, after all this experience of that with theme parks, build a park that is just a bunch of boxes and streets and anyway, but I think they figured it out because the new one, oh my God.
John JID 999 asks, is there an actual green eggs and ham restaurant? I'd visit that. There is.
Yes.
It's a giant green egg and ham.
Yeah.
And you go up to it and it's all like tater tot stuff. Like it's like you can get tater tots with like buffalo chicken strips. You can get ones that are actually like tater tots with green eggs and ham. You can get Who hash there, which comes in like a nifty little can. It's good.
This is a real thing. This is
cool.
cool.
Oh yeah, man. This is good. No, when you're in I'm gonna try to plan when you go to Orlando, Nolan. I'm gonna try to make a trip down there so that I can show you around the way things are supposed to be.
Heck yeah, no, it's gonna be fun, dude.
There's also a McGurk's Circus
there
restaurant
is.
there, and they do funny colored pastas and stuff like that. My daughter didn't really like it. She's 5, but and it was all right.
Yeah,
the food at Universal has never been good, right? Outside of City Walk, the food has always been their Achilles heel. It's the thing that always kind of put them behind Disney. It's getting better though. It's getting way better.
At Epic Universe, it's going to be phenomenal.
Have you seen the pictures of the food in the Nintendo restaurants that already exist?
Yes. I have seen it from Japan.
Oh my
from
God! Oh, and from Japan, I mean, the level of labor involved in all those little decorations on what every place else would just do with a standard off-the-shelf hot dog bun,
the rice in the shape of the shape of the mushroom, and like I even like the fact that like you see like the toads working in the kitchen on like the screens, like the toads like preparing the food. It's really cute.
Sorry, we got Mario here. I need to take the mic a second. And did you guys see like the comparison, like with the Princess Peach cupcakes, between the Japanese ones and the California ones? The ones in Japan were bloody amazing.
Oh, everything's better in Japan. Everything's better in Japan.
And by the way, strangely enough, cheaper. Do you know what the price of a ticket at Tokyo Disneyland is for a day? 68 bucks on the lowest price days, and like 75 or 80. Yeah. It's not even $100
that will get you, but like it's around the same price as going to Florida now.
What it's like is when Paris opened, and they thought, well, we'll get people coming across the channel from England. People in England, there were tour operators that were putting together plane and hotel and ticket deals where it was cheaper to fly to Orlando from London than it was to go across to Paris.
Mrs. Movie Monster will always show me this like really awesome merchandise, and she'll just be like, "Oh, look at this thing," and I'll be like, "Oh, wow, I really want that." And she'll be like, "Nah, it's Tokyo. It's always it's always Tokyo."
Well,
merchandise, it's always Tokyo.
Although Epic Universe has now joined it, my top theme park bucket list is always going to be Disney Sea. Because go look around and you'll find some very well done, high resolution, slow, take it easy, take 2 hours, just walk around just Disney Sea. And the level of detail on those buildings and the level of variety of stuff, it'll just shock you. It'll just shock you that anybody put all that into it and are letting people go in there and have fun for $75 a day or something.
And they have the best popcorn buckets.
Oh, God, the popcorn buckets. You know the story about popcorn at Japan, right? When they made the deal with Oriental Land, the Oriental Land people came over to Disneyland, and they walked them around the park to say, what do you want? What don't you want? Where do you... They loved, of course, but there's a whole story about that, too, I can tell you, the bonsai Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs wishing well, because it's standard Japanese to begin with, and there's a whole story about that. But the one thing that the Japanese told the Americans wouldn't fly in Japan and they couldn't do was popcorn carts.
Huh.
And they said, why? Well, in Japanese culture, eating while you're walking on the street is a sign that you're a vagrant and it's very low class, and Japanese people will never do that.
For
and
real?
so Disney, for real. And Disney said, how about we compromise? Let's make one and put it on the main street there, which is a covered glass atrium thing, because it rains a lot. And they won in the first year, sold over $1 million worth of popcorn. And they said, "Oh, well, maybe we were wrong. We'll take a few more, please." Look, but the fountain, the Snow White, you know where that came from? An art school in Italy. The students, just as a tribute to Disney, carved the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The problem is they were students and they weren't too good at scale. And Snow White, if you go there again and look very closely, you'll find that the dwarves are about 8/10 of the height of Snow White, which is totally wrong. So these things just showed up, and they showed up. A crate shows up at Imagineering one day, and they heard all this stuff from the so-and-so art school in Florence. So they said, I have an idea what we do with it. And they designed that entire grotto to force perspective so it worked. And if you go and look close, the trees get a little bigger or smaller depending up and down. They added a couple of little fish going around in the fountain down below, and it looks perfect. Well, many years later, the Japanese come over, they're looking at stuff, and they get to that, and the Japanese, oh, this is great. They said, great, we're glad you love it, but let us tell you about this story. And they tell them, and they say, no, of course, we will make it accurate from the beginning. And the Japanese gave him a dirty look and said, no, you will not. We want it exactly the same as the original. And the Disney people had to intentionally make some out of scale and put them in scale with the surroundings in Japan, because the Japanese wanted an authentic, absolutely authentic Disney.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's the best stories.
It's just, you absorb this stuff over a few years. But
that's amazing. Tokyo has always been a bucket list of mine. I mean, I thought Shanghai looked pretty good too. I know they almost bankrupted the company making it.
Well, the neighbors across the parking lot, however, are a little boisterous. You know about that, right?
No, I didn't hear about that.
Oh yeah. Was it? I said Shanghai or Hong Kong?
I think Hong Kong is next to the.
Yes, well, next to the it's next to the. All right, they've got a detention camp right outside the main gate.
Wait, what?
Yes.
You didn't know about this?
I didn't know about it. I had never heard about this.
Go look at it on Google Earth, and you'll see all these plain buildings just on the other side of the front door, and all it says on the map is government offices. No, they're not. No, they're not.
Oh man!
Oh, that's amazing. Good Lord.
They wish they had popcorn with no buckets. I got to tell you,
Marvin. If I go to Tokyo, I think I can sneak you in my suitcase, right?
Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty compact. But speaking of Ron, we have got to say goodbye to Ron. He's got to head out. And I believe Martin also has to head out. So, Ron, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can Follow the Bradley's Fun, all the great stuff you're doing over there.
Follow the Bradley's Fun. That's just type that into YouTube. You will get us, my family, Virginia, my beautiful wife, her son Xander. We're all there. We're doing I'm doing shows like this and also doing Disney vlogs. And Disney vlogs from an honest perspective of what works and also what definitely does not work. So they'll see all of that. And then follow the Bradley's Fun on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm all over the place. So there you go.
Awesome. And Martin, where can people find more about what you're up to?
That Park Place. I am the quieter co-host of The Lost Guys with Nolan and Hangry.
Awesome. And speaking of Hangry, I understand that you have to head out as well. So where can folks find more about you?
Well, I just kind of float around in the ether, but I'm always usually having a great conversation with Lou, with Martin, with Nolan, and with Lorne. And now with you, Marvin, and Wardo, and Diz. And Diz, I got to say, I am in awe of your avatar. If I could figure out some way of doing that with mine, that would be incredible. But it's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Hangry.
Really,
thank you guys,
really
Martin, Hangry, Ron. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
He's got to go home, do his homework, and send me my assignment.
Yes, yes, for the next genre, guys.
Yes. Well, the next one we know. The next one is a movie I hope you've all seen, and if you haven't, you should. And that is Local Hero, which is Burt Lancaster and Peter Riegert and Scotland. And it's magical and wonderful, and Disney couldn't do it if their lives depended on it. But then we got to pick another one to get in because I've got to take a little trip and be absent 1 week from the Genre Guys, and the Genre Guys go on regardless. And
nothing stops the Genre Guys.
Yeah, or the Duke of Earl. In fact, there you go, Duke of Earl table next time, Hangry.
All right.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Good seeing you guys. Take it easy.
So last thing I wanted to touch on tonight, House of the Dragon had its premiere. Now has anybody here besides me seen the premiere of House of the Dragon? Assuming no. Okay, well, not the point. The thing I wanted to point out was House of the Dragon's premiere. All right, one episode, I will remind you. That saw 7.8 million viewers. Now, Variety is trying to paint this as a downside for some reason. Down 22% from series launch, but bringing Max its biggest streaming day ever. Now, you will remember The Acolyte did 4.8 million on its first day, and that was with two episodes. So you have to consider it's probably 2.4 million each. House of the Dragon, blowing it out of the water. House of the Dragon hits the ground running every year pretty much and blows something out of the water. Last year was with Rings of Power. We saw Rings of Power launched its season 2 trailer. House of the Dragon dropped it the same exact day and wiped Rings of Power out of the conversation. House of the Dragon has got things like, gay romance. They've got women in prominent positions. They've got minorities, and we all love it. People love this show. It is 7.8 million people, cannot be wrong. And I loved the first season too. It's a good show, and it finds that morally gray area. It blends the good and evil in a way that The Acolyte likes to try to say that it's doing masterfully, because the people that I'm trying to think, I was on Lorena Creel's Spice Lounge before this, and I was there with her and Culture Casino, and Culture said it makes you question the team that you chose, because there's the green team and the black team, basically. And you basically are like, which team are you? Neither one's all good. Neither one's all bad. And this week really made you question a lot of it. And why does this work? Like, Westeros is a different world than Star Wars, right? It's meant to be morally gray. It's meant to be more reflective of the world as we know it, the real world. You're taking fantasy and kind of shining a modern light on it. And it's been that from the start. I think that's why people take to it more than they take to things like The Acolyte. And also, it doesn't actively hate its audience. It doesn't talk down to you. It doesn't go around spouting off about, oh, this show, you're going to love this show. It's so diverse. Like, they just let it speak for itself. They let the story.
Can I ask you a question about the show?
Yes, go ahead, Nolan.
I've not seen it, but if I've learned anything from Lucasfilm and the trends of the past few years, if I proceed to watch this show and I don't like it, what am I? Am I a racist, a homophobe, am I a bigot? What am I if I don't
all
like
of the above,
show?
according to the shill media? I mean, we saw Forbes put out an article recently that said, and I'm trying to find it right
You
here.
forgot that you have athlete's foot and halitosis.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't know what the Game of Thrones terms were, so I just had to check.
Oh, I see.
With the now 14% Rotten Tomatoes score, you are seeing a Forbes article that was like basically like the Acolytes. It said viewers have mobilized a fleet of TIE bombers to obliterate the user score of the Acolyte. It can never just be that people don't like something.
I'll give Forbes credit because it's like Forbes is showing you two different universes right now, because this particular writer has decided to invoke I can't think of his name. There's one Forbes writer who's like, if common sense is immediately to your right, his view is like to the left, down the street, and down somewhere in the basement. You don't know where they came from, what thing you smoked, but please stop talking. You're embarrassing everybody. There is a writer who is actively saying, "Hey, this show is an embarrassment to all of television." And he doesn't understand why it's even happening. So I'll cut Forbes a little
It's
bit.
not for. It's I'm blaming this particular writer. We know writers from Forbes, who are great guys. I believe our friend Alfred Canoa from Pro Wrestling Bits, I believe, also writes for Forbes, if I'm not mistaken. Right, this?
Yes. Yeah.
And he's a great guy who's got great opinions on entertainment. A really funny guy as well, who everyone should check out.
So okay, I have a question for Nolan real quick. And so Nolan, you didn't watch Acolyte this week, right?
No, I missed it because I had to do some work for my video yesterday, so I missed the stuff with it. So I'll have to see it again next week.
Did you know that you are the reason that, and also Lou, because you don't subscribe to Disney Plus, you two are the reason that Star Wars will never get better. I was told. Yeah, I was.
Pardon me while I play the world's smallest violin for ourselves.
I was informed.
It's your fault.
I was informed several times this week that if you don't like it, you still need to watch it and support it, because if you don't, Disney will give up on Star Wars, and then there will be no chance it will get better.
So, promise.
Oh my gosh. Right. What have I done?
So it's your fault.
You know what else will never get better? Casablanca, Gone with the Wind, because we can't keep making them because they're gone. Why can't they just say that was great? Now let's do something new. That's my solution. And on that note, guys, as I was just secretly massaging our fearless leader, something unavoidable has suddenly arisen here, and it's not my love of Star Wars, but I gotta go. So it's been a huge pleasure.
And, Lou,
and
I
you guys,
appreciate you. I appreciate you so much.
Anyway, I got to do this again sometime because you guys are too much fun. Too much fun.
Lou, you are the true learning tree that we've all sat under tonight. And I have to. Kevin Apollo said that to me privately. He's like, "Lou is the learning tree," and I could not be happier that you dropped in tonight. Thank you so much.
Well, I don't know if I'm a tree, but once in a while I'm a splinter. So,
thank you, Master Splinter.
Yeah,
Master Splinter. Yeah, that's what we're gonna call you from now on. Just so you know, it's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reference.
Or a petrified forest. I don't know. Sometimes I feel that way physically. But
Lou, anything you want to tell people where they can find genre guys? Anything like that?
Oh, you'll find me. I'm around. I never know when they're going to post things. Except now, Vash and I are doing the Hollywood Studios and You with Lou, whatever we're calling it, where I just answer questions that people have. Every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern live.
It's a great idea.
Worth your time. It's a good show.
Yeah, fantastic idea. I love it.
Although this week it'll be live this week, and then we'll do a second one that we'll play the following week because I have to take a little trip. But
right.
And it's for sure it's cool, the trip, man.
I'm sure
I'm from the 60s. I'm here to help. Anyway, good night. Continue the conversation. Thanks everybody out there for putting up with me. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lou.
Bye.
What a guy. My favorite. So John JID 999 also checking in with $5 said, just started watching Game of Thrones. I'm on season 2. I understand why people love it. Joffrey is such a chicken shit heel. Jon Snow and the Dragon Lady is awesome. The Dragon Lady, her name is Daenerys Targaryen, and she is awesome for a while.
Wow.
John, I do love Jon Snow. John, just understand that when you get to like season 7, the quality is going to drop off. Hey, this is the problem that I have with House of the Dragon, by the way. I am very obsessed with endings. I think that sticking the landing is the most important thing when you are telling a story. I can no longer be invested in something when I don't like the way it ends. I have never been able to rewatch even a single episode of How I Met Your Mother because the last 2 seasons were such garbage. I tried to rewatch Dexter when they put out new Dexter, and I couldn't get into it because I know where we're going. I don't get it.
Star Wars.
Well, yeah, I can't get into The Mandalorian because I know that the First Order is right around the corner, and I have a hard time sometimes when we're talking about House of the Dragon because I know we're going to where, and I'm not going to spoil it because I know John's watching it. I know we're going to season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones, which were very, very bad. What is something I want everyone to say? What is the thing that disappointed you the most with its ending, and what is the thing that you loved the ending of it the most, that enriched the entirety of the whole by being amazing? Kevin Apollo.
Of any show in general, or
of any show in general. What hit the nail on the head for you the most as far as an ending goes?
All Good Things, Star Trek: The Next Generation. I think it's one of the greatest television finales ever. It really should have been the movie.
Dis, what do you got?
There's a very good chance I'm going to get eaten alive for this one.
Oh boy.
Lost. The ending.
You liked the ending of Lost.
It was perfect for me because what I think Lost did in its ending was that it demonstrated that if your characters are strong enough, you don't need to worry about connecting all the lore, because what they did is that they wrapped up the lore that was important to the characters, but they left the lore that wasn't concerning the characters a mystery, because the island was a mystery. Things like 4 toad statues and that kind of stuff. It's fun to think about what it is, but what does that really add to the show that we know why the and you know what? None of the characters would have ever found out what the 4 toad statues were. They would have never found it. If they went out of their way to explain it to us, it would have taken away from what they were doing, which is developing those characters. And if you have strong characters that you care about, you don't need to connect every single thread all the time. The ending was perfect because it was perfect for the characters involved in the story that we were in love with the entire time. And I wish more shows would focus on the characters and not worry about going out of their way to explain every little detail about every corner of every universe. And that's I think shows get lost and end up being terrible at the end because they just go in so many different directions trying to tie up every loose thread, when in reality, we just want to see how these characters are going to end up. And if you fall in love with the characters like you did, like I did on Lost, I don't care about a 4-toed statue. I care about what's going on with Locke. And they wrap that up perfectly for me.
That was I'm not going to attack you for that. That was a very thoughtful and well put together, case for the ending of Lost.
I've had to make the argument 1,000 times.
Oh, I'm sure you have. And I've never watched Lost. I watched the first couple episodes and I figured it out like in a second. And like based on my brother's reaction, like I had clearly figured it out. And so I was like, yeah, okay, I don't need to watch this. And I just kind of didn't watch it. Nolan, what is your favorite ending?
So first of all, I want to say that was beautifully said, Dis. I've never seen Lost, but I really liked what you said there. I just wanted to get that out of the way first.
Thank you.
I don't have much to say on my favorite, and I have a lot to say on my least favorite, and it ties into Apollo, actually, which is why I'm really excited to talk about that. But my favorite, I'll keep it simple, because a lot of shows I realized I like kind of just got really bad later on, so there wasn't really like a good ending. But if I will say, I know this might be a bit controversial, especially in some of the nerd spheres and stuff like that when it comes to shows. I liked the ending to The Big Bang Theory. I thought it was sweet. I thought it was cute.
I liked it too. I liked it too.
Thank you. Okay. We're all on the same page here.
100%.
Yeah.
And I like the ending. I like the ending to Young Sheldon also. I thought that was a good ending. A good way
I haven't
to end
gotten
it.
there yet.
I thought they handled George Senior's death very, very well. That's not a spoiler diss. Everybody knows George.
I know that. Yeah, that was a meme. Yeah, I knew. That. So
sorry,
do you
Nolan.
Mind? No. Do you mind if I don't want to take Apollo's turn, but seeing as how he answered all good things, do you mind if I answer the worst one first, if you don't mind?
Yeah, go for it.
Star Trek Nemesis.
Oh.
I please, without any spoilers to Picard season 3, because I'm probably gonna be seeing that finally here pretty soon. Nemesis was, I haven't seen that film in years, and I want to see it again. I just bought the whole freaking Star Trek thing here recently on my birthday that has like the 10 movies and stuff like that. So I'll be watching it again. But of all like the Star Trek TNG movies that I think about in retrospect, Generations, one of my favorite films of all time. First Contact, same ordeal. Insurrection, you know what? It's cheesy, it's stupid. I still like it. It's still Star Trek TNG. Thank you. Nemesis just makes me mad. Like, I think about it, I just think like, you had the greatest, possibly the greatest show ever made, and you killed the series this quick. You somehow wasted Tom Hardy as an evil Captain Picard. I don't know how you do that. You have a Doom buggy scene that didn't fit. You mess up the idea of doing a plot line with Data's head, which is linked to a real conspiracy about Mars. Actually, no, that's not a conspiracy. That's I think like an actual like fun fact picture thing. I'd have to look into it again. And then I don't know if I should spoil it here, but the way it ended, I'm still mad. I'm still mad because they killed a character who you never kill, and it was worse than what they did to Luke Skywalker and worse what they did to Han Solo.
And then when you read what the movie was supposed to be and what the follow-up was supposed to be, oh my god. Oh
wait,
my god.
Okay, I need to look into this, and this is going to be a video from me eventually. If this is what
it is effing heartbreaking. Effing heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I legit feel like I'm at like an AA meeting right now, and I'm slowly crying like to get this thing that's been on my chest for like over a decade right now.
I'm glad we can give you that.
I didn't know I
cathartic
need to get this out of my
Nolan.
system.
You know, I have never. So I am. I am currently watching Next Generation for the first time. I've been working my way through it for years, and I'm in season 2. But it
gets really good when you get to season 3 and beyond. It becomes like the best show ever.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? I'm thinking it might be fun to kind of chart my Star Trek Next Generation journey on this show week by week. And I'll check in with you guys, and I'll tell you what episodes I watched this week, and we can kind of discuss it as like a regular segment. It can be like our Dave Schultz version over here. As we can.
Hey guys,
this sounds amazing.
How far are you into it?
Only a couple episodes into season 2. We're not very far in.
I'm gonna try to catch it. I've never watched it either.
Really?
Okay. We could almost have like a Star Trek like episode of the week, almost kind of like a review.
I mean,
can
you guys give
or bad?
Can you guys, because look, season 1 is a slog. Can you give this like these are the episodes you have to watch in season 1?
Encounter in Farpoint.
The first one, the one with Tasha Yar and the Goop Monster, and then is there any other ones of the first 2 seasons? Because I watch TNG most of the time on like BBC reruns and all that, and with my dad, like whatever Sci-Fi Channel or something back in the day, back when they actually showed cool stuff. And like, so they would like never show the first 2 seasons, it seemed like. So even they,
well, because they were just
you have 3 Star Trek channels now.
Weren't they just wasn't the first season just kind of like old school Star Trek where it wasn't really connected so much,
Gene wanted to have it essentially be a fresh start. He didn't want to use any of the classic aliens. Everything had to be new. The only carryover character, and it became a tradition for the Star Treks going forward, was a character from the previous show would essentially hand off the series, to one of the new crew members. So McCoy shows up and is I think he's walking with Data. And so it gets tough. The first 2 seasons, there are definitely a lot of growing pains. They fire, they fire 2 cast members, almost a third when you roll into the second season, and then when the third season hits in, they have a new showrunner. They bring some characters back. They like the the tone of the show kind of shifts a little bit. And then what's fascinating is you watch Patrick Stewart kind of grow, because he is every bit the English Shakespearean actor. And you can kind of tell he's probably not having as much fun with it as everybody else. And then like you just ever so slowly watch him get more comfortable and slowly morph into the Patrick Stewart we know today.
Okay.
So it's but yeah, listen, it's there. If you can sit down and watch TNG and just get a good laugh, like I personally love the Wakanda Forever episode. I can't think. I think what is like a what is a test of honor or something like that. It is so ridiculous, so ridiculous. But hey, you know what? I'll give them a shot. I'll give them their druthers. They tried to tell a cultural episode as best they could. There are certain aliens like the Ferengi. Oh my god!
they clothed the female.
Because it's funny that you meant because I started watching the Orville, and because I watched.
I was literally just thinking about the Orville, and I was like, I wonder what, because I love it. I watched Ted, and I thought Ted was fantastic. The show. The Ted show is so good.
Oh my god,
so
much
funny.
better than the movies.
So
much better than the movies. Yeah. And so then I was like, okay, well, I want to watch more Seth MacFarlane. So I started watching the Orville, and I really liked it. And I started talking to my brother, and he goes, "No, stop what you're doing and go back and watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, and then watch the Orville, and you'll like it so much more."
Yeah. And we're dogging a bit on like the zanier aspects, like the first 2 seasons. But I promise you guys, when you get into season 3 and beyond, there is a reason when you go to buy this, whatever, like 30-year-old show at this point, I'm not for sure. Like, it's still like $100 to buy the complete set.
Yeah.
Because literally the writing in this show is some of the best ever. And there are times where I've gone through some things in my life, and I've watched an episode of Star Trek with the family, and it just perfectly aligned to be relevant to something that was going on in my life. And the writing is just so smart and deep, and you see different sides of things, different kinds of arguments going on, but it'll give you the moral to where there's a sense of like humanity and purpose when you come out of it. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it. It's just, you nailed it. The beauty of Star Trek is that it takes a humanistic approach to complicated things, and it doesn't cast judgment. And there may even be times where you may wind up playing the role of devil's advocate, but it's not going to make the decision for you. I really think there's no better TV than TNG. It is just.
I agree. Now, TNG isn't my favorite show of all time. Sorry, I'll let you make your point, but I just want to say this.
You're fine.
TNG I don't think it's my favorite show of all time. It's top 5, obviously. But we're in a world where every show had to die and only one show could remain for us and our ancestors, I would say keep Star Trek: The Next Generation, because it is the most ideal aspect, I think, of what our future and how we should treat life, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. Because I watched it, but I was also 11. And it's like I don't think I picked up. I was just kind of like, oh, these are cool aliens and stuff. I do have to go, but I real quick wanted to get in my least favorite, if that's okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Yep, and then I'm going to do mine after you do.
Because my least favorite's a little weird because it's not for the same. It's a common one, but it's not for the same reason. Sopranos, and it's not for the reason. Yeah, but it's not for the reason everyone says. I actually liked that it just ended. I liked the blackout. I liked that whole thing.
You like Journey?
Well, yeah, I love Journey, but
well, I mean, my thing about that is I 100% believe Tony Soprano died in that scene.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so I liked the idea because when David E. Kelly later explained it, he said, and this was what I thought when I first saw it. This is how I took it. Did he die or didn't he die? Nothing happened because it was the end of the show. It was the end of the story. That's where the story ended. These characters all ceased to exist, this world ceased to. This is a story. This isn't real. And he kept saying that's the point I was trying to make, was that this is a story. This is not real life. And everyone's arguing about if he died or if he didn't die. It doesn't matter. The story's over. And I was like, oh, so I really like that. I really
the reason I think he died is because there was a scene between him and Bacala earlier in the season where they talk about death, basically, about getting shot, basically. Yeah. And Bacala said, I bet you don't even hear the one that gets you. I bet everything just goes black.
So he came back later when he was promoting that stupid movie that he made with Ray Liotta.
The Many Saints of Newark. Look, it
was okay.
Yeah, there were things I liked. I thought Gandolfini's son did an amazing job.
Yes, it was fine. It was fine. It had no reason to exist, but it was fine.
And I didn't like the framing device of Christopher in hell. Like I kind of liked it, but like at the end of it was a little too out there for the show.
Yeah, but he in the build up to that, because it just seemed like he was so desperate to hang on to, and he tried to get that back, and he was like, "No, he died. He totally died. He was dead. He died at the end." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck you!" Like, dude, have some conviction about your art.
Is that why you hate the finale? Because he went back on it?
Out. He pussied out on it. Like he was so hardcore about that. Like it just ended, and I respected that. I thought that I didn't think it was the best ending ever. I wasn't going to go out on a hill, die on a hill for it. But the idea that like he was saying, this is my story and this is where it ends. You can pretend like it goes on and make things up in your mind, but he didn't die and he didn't live. He ceased to exist because everything did, because it's my story. And I was like,
he's Schrodinger's asshole at that point.
Good man. Like I respect that. You know what I don't respect? Trying desperately to get another show on HBO so you kowtow to public opinion and say, no, he's dead. Oh, here's more Journey. Like, no, fuck you.
I'll never forget, because I didn't watch the show when it aired, but my parents and my grandparents, who both were in the house where I grew up, they were all watching it. And I remember when it went black like that, all you heard were both my parents and my grandparents from other ends of the house screaming, like, because they thought the cable went out.
Everyone, people blew up their cable companies because they thought the cable went out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Seriously?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, because back then digital cable used to go out a lot like that. Like it would like make little skips sometimes if your signal wasn't good, and it would look exactly like what happened.
That's
awful. It was but then so my favorite finales, I have 3 of them. Okay, I know that's cheating, but I have 3 and they're all equal in my heart. Angel, season 5. Let's get to work. When the senior partners unleash hell on Los Angeles, Team Angel Wesley is dead, Gunn is dying, Lorne has left. We are now in the alleyway, the rain coming down, the hordes, the dragon are coming at them, and Team Angel Gunn says, I'll take the 10,000 on the right, and then Angel says, let's get to work, and that's how we end. It was brilliant. And yes, I wanted more. I read the comic book series that came out after the fall. It was very good. It doesn't take away from the ending. What a perfect way to end that show. What perfect way to end that show. And I think everybody kind of wanted Angel was going to, the Shanshu prophecy was going to come true. He's going to become a human, or the apocalypse was going to happen. No, this is the way it had to end. It had to end in battle. It had to end with Angel not getting his happy ending, I think. I think John J.I.D. 999 for $2. Thank you. Says the ending of Top Boy was perfect. Awesome UK show. I've never actually seen that, but so my other 2, Breaking Bad had the greatest final episode I have ever seen. The greatest final season I've ever seen. Vince Gilligan is one of the most prolific writers of our time.
Yeah, that's called cheating. That's you cheating. Just now.
saying Breaking Bad is good.
Yeah, that's
why it wasn't my only one, because I'm like, obviously Breaking Bad's finale is good. Even though in El Camino, I didn't think El Camino like took away from it. It was just fine. It gave us a little epilogue, which was fine. It just showed us how what happened to Jesse, which I'm cool with. Better Call Saul, by the way, I think is better than Breaking Bad.
Yes.
But it's only good if you've seen Breaking Bad.
Yes. My brother tried to go back. He didn't see Breaking Bad, and he thought he was going to be clever and watch. He thought, "Oh, I'm going to watch it in order, so I'm going to watch."
Oh, it's just spoil everything for you.
Yeah, and I was like, "You absolutely do not want to do that."
So yeah, my last one is kind of a. It's kind of it's not as well known. I mean, people know of it, but it's not like one that gets talked about a lot. The ending of Babylon 5 is wonderful. It's now Babylon 5 is my favorite sci-fi show.
Please refrain from spoilers if possible on that.
Yes, I will refrain from spoilers on that. The ending of Babylon 5 is exquisite. I don't love the 5th season. I think the 5th season kind of got away. I think they definitely peaked in the 4th season when they have the war with Earth. But season 5 had a story to tell. It had a really great episode before the end. Actually, season 4 had a really great episode. The last episode of season 4, where they go forward in time and they show you like 1,000 years in the future, 10,000 years in the future, like things that are going on like in this world, like throughout history. Season 5, not great, but really the last episode hits home. Sheridan's story comes full circle. It's perfect. It leaves room open for the books that they were writing, which are great. The Technomage trilogy for Babylon 5, the books, some of the best books I've ever read in my life. I wish they were available in audiobook so that I could still have time to enjoy them, because I don't have time to sit and read anymore. But yeah, I mean, that show, I need to rewatch. I saw it on Tubi the other day, and I was like, oh, I'm going to rewatch Babylon 5. And I typically start season 2 because I love Jeffrey Sinclair. I enjoy his story, but Babylon 5 starts for me when Captain Sheridan shows up. I mean, that's when it starts.
If we ever get this far along in your Star Trek watching, I would love to watch DS9 and Babylon 5 along each other and talk about the drama that went on between these two shows.
Oh, really? Yeah, it was terrible, right?
Like, to the point that Mael Roddenberry guest starred on Babylon 5 as like a peace offering between the studios, because she was intent on being like, there's no reason these franchises are going to war. But essentially, they were trying to figure out what to do next with Star Trek. And depending on who you ask, they were like, hey, we need to do something different. Let's do a space station. And then if you ask people in Babylon 5, they go, well, we had an idea about doing a show at a space station. And then
they stole it.
And then they stole it. And it was a race to get the shows out at the same time. And then producers are jumping ship back and forth. It's like effing crazy. It's effing crazy.
I need to and
Babylon 5. Babylon 5 got Walter Koenig in one of my. I like him better as Alfred Bester than as Chekhov. Well, and I think he liked it better playing Alfred Bester, because Bester was such a meaty character that he could really sink his teeth into, and he didn't have to put on a fake accent for it.
Well, he was just hired because he looked like Davy Jones.
Well, yeah. Babylon 5, dude. Like, yes, the graphics are dated. You know, it's very much a product of its time. It's so good, though. I cannot recommend it enough. All right, Dis, I know you got to bail.
Yes.
Please let us know where we can find your new channel, Maxed Out Media.
Yep. I was on the wrong channel thing all night. So if you saw me in chat, it said Maxed Out Gaming, but it's actually Maxed Out Media. MAXXD. I know it's confusing. My son wanted to make the O a 0, and I said, absolutely not. I'll give you the MAXXD.
Thank you.
We're not doing the 0. But check that out. I just put out a short about Chowder Heads, which is it was a animated short that was made for WCW by Eli Roth, who directed Hostel. Very weird thing. And one episode was actually released online, but there's still 7 missing. So he acted like he was going to release all of them, and then he released one and then never did anymore. So that's interesting. I have another one planned for this week. I have a list of about 10 that I want to get to, so I'm narrowing between 2. but that'll probably be out around Saturday. Other than that, just check me out on here and Tooney Talk Wrestling every Tuesday.
Watch his stuff; it's good.
Thank you.
Stuff. It is very.
I appreciate it. I think this week I injected a little bit more humor. I tried to put my personality into it a little bit more.
You did.
So I thought that was good, but yeah. So thanks, guys. It was fun. Lou was amazing, and I will talk to you guys later.
See you, Dis. And obviously, my worst show endings are How I Met Your Mother and Dexter. Gotta be, because Dexter dropped the ball so hard. How I Met Your Mother, like the idea of the mother being dead I hated it from a standpoint of it made me sad. But when I first heard it, when I first realized it earlier in the season when they teased it, I was like, oh no, I hate it, but it's good. But then it was the Robin thing. I was like, you spent 10 years telling me that Ted and Robin don't work. And now all of a sudden you want me to believe that Robin and Ted work. I don't know.
It's, I feel like if they had given us just one episode of Ted and what was his name, Tracy?
Yeah.
Of Ted and Tracy being together and married. Like, as we were jumping through time the entire season, I feel like they just given you one episode of them together because they had good chemistry. I feel like it stings because you actually, which and I guess is apropos, because you just didn't get enough time with them together, and I think like as a fan, like you sat there and waited 10 years, and you got cheated, and then they just rub a little extra, they put a little alcohol in the wound by telling you that all roads lead to Robin.
Yeah, I did not like that at all. I mean, I liked the Robin and Barney story up until like it like got to the wedding or whatever. But yeah, it was
like the Robin that got killed with the crowbar. Oh wait,
Jason Todd. Remember back in the day, Kevin? We used to say the three characters, the only comic book characters that will never come back are Jason Todd, Bucky, Uncle Ben, and the Waynes, and then Bucky and Jason Todd both came back a year later.
That's what it used to be. Bucky, Jason Todd, Uncle Ben, and oh my God, we broke the two of them out the same year, months apart. Like what the hell?
A year later after we said that too, it was insane.
At this point, no one stays dead though.
I know. I'm waiting for Uncle Ben to come back with spider powers.
How many times
it's gonna happen?
How many times does Aunt May come back?
Well, technically, we never killed Aunt May.
She died a couple times, didn't she?
Yes.
In the comics, she died in like issue 400, didn't she?
She dies, but then everybody forget. Like they rebooted the continuity. They tried to do, and they went to John Byrne to do it. They tried to reboot Spider-Man's continuity with something called Chapter 1. They had John Byrne essentially redo Spider-Man's first 2 years. So the villains got updated.
Was that after One More Day? Is that when that happened?
That was before One More Day.
Oh, okay.
So, and then like it just didn't work because people are like, "What are you doing?" And this is all happening around the same time as Onslaught. So like all the major Marvel heroes are gone, and it's really just Spider-Man and the X-Men. So we limp out of the Clone Saga and then jump straight into Chapter 1, and everyone's like, "What the hell is going on?" And then they just acted like they didn't do it. But like, so we jump back into regular continuity. Aunt May's alive, and we don't ever mention the fact that Norman Osborn had stolen Peter's baby, or that the baby existed.
Never existed.
And then we just move forward. We just move forward. We like nothing happened, and then they do One More Day, and you're like, what? Is like, and I personally would have rather them had just been like,
wasn't that also J. Michael Straczynski? One More Day?
No, that was I don't think that was Straczynski. That was Straczynski.
I think it might have been. Hold on.
This is the first time today that I've actually had a positive thought about Disney Star Wars, because now I'm reminded of One More Day, and now something is actually making me more upset.
Yeah, Spider-Man One More Day, J. Michael Straczynski.
Oh God!
Wait, what else did he do?
The
Babylon 5, and he was a writer on Star Trek.
Yeah.
How in the world did he write one more? Actually,
Because they told him he had to write this story and he had to make it work.
And
are you serious?
To his credit, he builds a get out of jail free card into the story, because technically, like as a comic book reader, we all know that Devil's not supposed to win in the end. So
yeah,
you're spending the entirety of a brand new day going, well, or when do we fix this?
When did they fix it? Didn't they undo it like several times?
They kind of ignored it. Peter reveals his identity to heroes ever so slowly. Then I think somehow they do a mass reveal, but then they use the Purple Man to make. Oh no, that was Daredevil. They and then they did another weird little they like quasi undid it, but when everything comes back to normal, Mary Jane and Peter are now not together. Mary Jane has a boyfriend with kids. So it's like, and if you want to see Peter with Mary Jane, you have to go buy the brand new Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's good.
I need to pick up that book. I was at a comic store
good.
today. I didn't even think to, because those look so good. It's like what we've
good.
always wanted. Like they have kids, and then they were. Didn't they also parody not parody, but didn't they call back to that one iconic cover where it's like Spider-Man Black Cat kissing and you have MJ in the background? Didn't they do that with Spider-Man MJ, but it's the kids in the background grossed out by it?
Yeah.
They swapped out May for Uncle Ben, right?
What's that?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I think Uncle Ben. Yeah, Ben is alive. May is not.
Wow. Okay, I need to pick it up.
It's very good. It shows Peter as he's a good father. He's a good husband, and he becomes
rocking the beard.
Rocking the beard, and he becomes Spider-Man in his 30s. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I'll give them credit. The crux of the story of having the evil Reed going through time and delaying the hero's destiny was a cool way to kind of reintroduce the Ultimate Universe. Because he stopped Peter from getting bitten at 16, and then I can't remember who goes through to fix it, but they're trying to fix the timelines, and they're like, no, this was supposed to happen to you, so do you want it? But there is one super terrible Spider-Man book out there that was supposed to change the continuity. I think it's called Nothing But Trouble. So it involves a young May and a young Ben Parker.
Oh, I saw this.
And they're horny teenagers. And May and Anna want to go on a sexcapade, and they hook up with Richard and Ben, and you find out that May is really Peter's mother.
Oh. No,
what?
That's so dumb.
People were like, what the fuck is this? They ran away from that. And it's got such beautiful Terry Dodson art. And you're just punching through this slog. There's
plenty. Yeah, there's plenty of bad Spider-Man books, though. We're not saying there's only one bad Spider-Man book. So many bad Spider-Man arcs. When you mentioned Daredevil, I started to think about my favorite Daredevil arc of all time. Do you remember the Devil in Cell Block D?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Fantastic! If they made that the next season of the show, if Born Again actually does hit the way we're all hoping it'll hit, it's so good. So the plot of this. Because Nolan, I'm assuming you've never read The Devil in Cell Block D, right?
No, but I love that name. That is a genius name for a book.
So Daredevil's identity is revealed. Everyone knows he's Matt Murdock. He gets arrested, but still insists that he's not Daredevil. He's now in jail with the Kingpin, Bullseye, and the Punisher. They're all in jail together. The four of them.
Why is the Punisher in there?
Because the Punisher...
He sees that Daredevil got arrested. So he puts on the copy of the Daily Bugle, sees a drug dealer across the street, walks into him, shoots him in the head, and sits down and waits for the cops to come arrest him.
Yep, surrenders. And he gets in there and he sits down at the lunch table with him on the chow line, and he's like, and Matt's just like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And Frank's like, I am in here to watch you break. Because you're gonna see that this is where you put all these people, and you're gonna see that they don't get any better in here, and you're gonna tell me that I'm right. And it's amazing.
This sounds amazing. I makes me realize how much of a void I've had ever since, MCU went trash, and stuff like that. Because I just feel this passion talking about Spider-Man comics because they were so good at such a point. And one of my favorite shows of all time, like top 5 ever, is Spectacular Spider-Man. That cartoon was genius, and they had so many plans for that show. There were supposed to be
ended
like
on
2
a
or 3
stupid
movies,
cliffhanger.
five seasons, and the ideas they have from what I heard, because some shows get canceled and you hear the ideas and it's like, wait, where were they going with that? But no, this show looked like it was going to be great, and I love the best part of that show wasn't even the action, it was the storylines with Peter Parker and his life. Like, it was amazing. And it ended too soon, so I'm just like, everything you're telling me with like Ultimate Spider-Man, and even like, this is the most interesting I've ever been in Daredevil in my whole life. Like, everyone talked about how great the show was and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, go look up the devil. Go look up the Devil in Sublock D. You'll really enjoy it.
You also gotta be interested in the Punisher, both of you. So
yeah, the only comic book that well, don't look at modern Punisher. The only when they had his wife come back from the dead and be like, "You're a piece of garbage." Like,
be like, what does he shoot kittens at people?
No, no. But so the one comic book that I still read religiously, I'm a few months behind on it, but it's the Boom Studios Mighty Morphin Power Rangers book is exceptional.
I haven't read.
It is. Okay. It's started by Kyle Higgins, and you have to start it from the beginning. Start it from the, it picks up the day after Green with Evil. So the evil Green Ranger has.
Is it the show we've always wanted?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll tell you a few things about it, Nolan. You pick up the day after Green with Evil, and Tommy is seeing Rita everywhere, and she's like basically like he gets to school with like Jason and like Zach, and the original 5 are all kind of converging and talking, and then like Rita's over his shoulder like, man, kind of hard to break into this group, huh? After everything you've done. Like, and that's where we get Lord Drake. So eventually we meet Lord Dracon, a Tommy Oliver from an alternate universe who, after the Sword of Darkness was destroyed and the spell was broken, decided to stay with Rita and took over the entire world and enslaved the Rangers. And so he's like a combo white. So they were gonna. So when Dracon rises, they developed the White Ranger power coin to give to Jason. But Dracon finds out about it and shows up and stops him and takes the white coin, and the white and green merge together and creates Lord Dracon. And that is, and so then Shattered Grid is this big, huge event where Lord Dracon attacks the Morphing Grid itself and basically fights every single Ranger team. The main characters in it. You have the MMPR team. Jen from Time Force is a main character in it. They involve all the different teams right now. Where we're
in there
right now, so we've gotten a definitive Lord Zed origin. He was Zordon's mentor on Eltar.
Ooh,
and was tricked into trying to take the Zeo crystal, and it turned him inside out basically. We have gotten now Rita is back, and she's not Rita Repulsa anymore. She's Mistress Vile because she overthrew Master Vile. And now she is working. She's working directly with Dark Spectre, and Dark Spectre is an entity. He's not just like Malachor, like the thing from Turbo. He is an entity that needs a vessel, and Rita has a vessel for him. It's Zordon's original body. And so now you have you have Dark Spectre in Zordon's body, like fighting the Power Rangers. It's amazing.
I'm impressed that there is, because this is what it's supposed to be, that the comics have like way better writing than the adaptions and stuff, that all the people who are the biggest fans about this stuff are writing the books. So I have to ask, in 2024, how in the world are they writing the Power Rangers books? Because this sounds like something that the 90s writers would be coming up with or something. This is great.
No, it's written by fans, and it really like loves the source material. You could tell it fixes a lot of plot holes. It gives you it tells you why Rito Revolto is a skeleton and why he's an idiot.
I would love to know that. And two, does it explain the Phantom Ranger finally?
There's something with the Phantom Ranger. I don't remember off the top. There's so many books. Like they give you an Andros backstory ish mini series. Here's my favorite part. When Jason, Trini, and Zach leave, they're not going to a peace summit. They tell the Rangers they're going to a peace summit because they have to hide the fact that they're going off into space and they become the Omega Rangers.
What?
Yeah, it's
Why
really
do they have
cool.
to hide it?
They have to hide it because there's something with like the Morphin Masters where they're like, you three have to stop they go to Jason and they're like, you have to stop this thing that's coming, but you can only bring 2 others and nobody can, not even Zordon can know about it. And so Jason gets Trini and Zach and is like, I need you guys. We have to go do and they're like, all right, giddy up, let's go. And the 3 of them become the Omega Rangers and they have their own book for a while. Do
they have like
so
any
good.
sort of like any scenes with like them and Zordon of like why it's so abrupt? Because wow.
No, like Zordon gets like pissy with them about it when he finds out that what they did. There's in the Lord Zed origin arc, you also get Billy basically like creates like this robot body and installs like Zordon's essence in it, and so Zordon and Zed actually throw down.
Ooh, okay, you've sold me on this. What is the name of the series again? And
it's just Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Boom Studios. Start with the arc by Kyle Higgins. It's all collected in trades. So start with volume 1. I'll send you a screenshot of what it looks like.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Fantastic.
I feel bad for how many tangents we've been going on, but I've noticed since we went on the tangents, the viewer count went up. So they're all about the Power Rangers.
You know what? I did a video on the Power Rangers the other day because Netflix canceled the like adult-oriented reboot that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then Amy Jo Johnson slithered out of her gutter and was like, excuse me, Hasbro. I wrote this comic book, wrote this comic book in quotes. Happy to develop. And I'm like, no, nobody wants your comic book. If you're going to develop any comic book, it should be the Boom Studios comics. Because she wrote this fan fiction about like, oh, Kimberly and Tommy are married and the daughter becomes the Green Ranger and then the daughter becomes the Pink Ranger. And it's
okay. I kind of like that idea though.
But Kimberly dumps Tommy in a Dear John letter. Kat is the one that stayed with us. Amy Jo Johnson also hates Power Rangers. She refused to do Once and Always. She won't do it unless there's like, she could be the showrunner and develop this like series off a comic book, or there's a cameo in a big budget Hollywood movie for her to do. So, all right, we should probably get going. We've been going for 3 hours and 11 minutes, and now we're talking about Power Rangers.
The Power Rangers tangent. We'll go for 4 hours more, so it's probably a good.
What I was saying about that video though is I was shocked it did so well. Like it's one of my highest viewed videos. It did really, really well. Folks, thank you for joining us here on Tooney Talk Wrestling tonight. We appreciate having you guys. Kevin Apollo, where can people go to find more of you?
I guess go to my Twitter at War Dog Apollo right there. And I guess if you are in the New York area, head on over to the Middletown Mall, the Crystal Run or the Gallery at Crystal Run, July 13th for the All-American Banger. Be 6 very exciting matches.
Pro wrestling show, by the way.
Yes, pro wrestling show. And then I don't know, maybe if fortune smiles upon me, I'll actually sit down and make our Blade video for the channel.
There you go. That'd be nice. Nolan Thunder, where can people go to find more of you and everything that you do?
Okay, so if you want to see me on my own personal work, go to youtube.com at Nolan Thunder. I talk about lost media and video game hoaxes, urban legends, canceled games, all that fun stuff. And I present it kind of like Jonathan Frakes used to do in Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. If any of you Star Trek fans remember that. It's cool. It's got like 80s horror movie synthesizer, some creepy monsters in there, but comedy too. It's fun. But also on the topic of Power Rangers, I'm reminded on the podcast I'm on with a Hangry Table and Martin Stone, we have.
There we go, Kevin Apollo.
You are a beautiful human being. I love you. But no, if you want to hear more about my opinions on like pop culture stuff on the That Park Place YouTube channel, we have a membership exclusive show called The Lost Guys, where me, Martin Stone, and Hangry Table, we all take a look at like lost media and old stuff you might have forgotten about. It can be anything from episodes, movies, products that were available, mascots, theoretical theories like the Mandela effect type stuff. But I wanted to bring it up because we are going to be doing an episode here in a few weeks or so on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. So if you want to see that, it should be coming out here within a few weeks. We're starting to upload the series again. So
did you guys record that already?
We did, but you know what? We're talking about doing Turbo though too at some point. So
if you ever want to talk Turbo, if you want to have me on that, I could talk about that movie for hours, because there is like a mythical like 3.5 hour cut of that movie out there somewhere.
Yo, well, during the, not to go too much on a tangent here though, but when we did the Power Rangers movie, I was bringing up all the behind the scenes stuff going on with like Dulcia and all that. So I am all for whatever lore you got there. So I'm gonna run it by them tonight if I can.
Cool. All right, folks. And for me, of course, Tooney Town TV, Tooney Town Wrestling. Check it out. Tooney Town TV seeing some major growth. We've doubled our subscriber count over the last couple of days. Our Acolyte episode 3 review with 13,000 views and growing. So check back. Both channels going to be having daily content. I am traveling this week, so content's a little bit more sparse this week, but I promise next week we'll be picking things back up. I will have an Acolyte episode 4 review. I will have the Headlock headlines over on Tooney Town Wrestling. And of course, Tooney Talk TV on Tuesday nights where we talk. I'm sorry, Tooney Talk Wrestling on TV on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. featuring Mr. Apollo, Dis, a friend Awful, and whoever else we have coming on. So thank you guys so much for joining us. For War Dog Apollo, for Nolan, for Dis, for Lou, for Martin, Hangry, Ron, even Wilton, for God's sakes. I am Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here!
Now, Perry the Platypus, feel the wrath of my thank you-inator!
Thank you, you piece of trash.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you!
I suppose you want me to say thank you. Well, you know what? Saying thank you is like jobbing. Thank you!
I got a little message. Thank you.
Ooh, yeah!
Oh, thank you! Oh, thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you!
Thanks? For what?
Hi-ho from all of us here at Tooney Town. Thank you!
And viewers like you. Thank you.